to facts still matter. It starts with you. Check on your neighbor, share what you can do. One small action turns into a wave. Do something today, be the change that you crave. Facts still matter, it starts with you. Facts still matter, it starts with you.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Happy Manic Monday. It's April the 13th. Thanks for being here. We know you got many choices to make every day, and we're super grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. So thank you, friends. Please consider joining our team. There's a gifting goal today that helps us get to remain on the FYP. Also, if you want to support the channel as we march towards our 25K goal for the Do Something Tour, we sit at $9,591. At Facts Still Matter, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Also, please head on over to the link tree that's in my bio. You'll find all kinds of things there, including a link to our Discord. If for some reason it doesn't work, just reach out to one of our moderators or just copy the link, post it in a browser, assuming you have Discord installed on your device. That should open it for you. You can also find a link to the Facts merch store. You can find that at factsstillmatter.site. Lots of really cool items in there. Oh, that's cool. All kinds of stuff from t-shirts to hoodies to v-necks to tank tops to sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, all kinds of shit happening. But you'll find that again at factsstillmatter.site and or FactsHQ. So head on over there. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you very, very much. We will get into everything because the topic today is, obviously can run this topic every single day because yes, in fact, is all men. We're going to talk about the Swalwell situation, the Tony Gonzalez situation, the Corey Mills situation. We also are going to talk about the latest coming from Iran regarding the failed ceasefire, because anytime J.D. Vance touches something, it crumbles in his hands. I want to first remind people that is the 115th day of the federal government breaking the law by not releasing everything related to the Epstein files. Yes, it is all men. I want to start with something though. I want to play some sound for Bruce Springsteen because he opened the show the other night, and this was great. Bruce being Bruce. Let me just make sure of that. We'll bring you up in a little bit, Rant Man. You can be patient. Bruce has always been someone who's used his voice and his platform, and he opened the show the other night with this.
Welcome to the land of hope and dreams tour. We begin tonight with a prayer for our men and women in service overseas. We pray for their safe return. The mighty E Street Band is here tonight to call upon the righteous power of art, of music, of rock and roll in dangerous times. We are here in celebration and defense of our American ideals, democracy, our Constitution, and our sacred American promise. The America I loved, the America that I've written about for 50 years, that has been a beacon of hope and liberty around the world, is currently in the hands of a corrupt, incompetent, racist, reckless, and treasonous administration. We ask all of you to join with us in choosing hope over fear, democracy over authoritarianism, the rule of law over lawlessness, ethics over unbridled corruption, resistance over complacency,
That's how you open a show. That's Bruce Springsteen. Bruce has always been someone who has always spoken for the downtrodden, spoken for the working class, spoken for middle America, spoken for marginalized communities, and he uses his platform. And, we need more voices like that. It is motivating. It just reminds us at the end of the day what we are up against and why it is so important to share and show and shout your voice from wherever platform you have. With that being said, so been thinking about this topic just because I think it's necessary. Let me get into some other stuff. Let me clear my head. Let me get into a bunch of other stuff first. All this winning, gas prices sit at, as of the AAA, according to this morning, $4.13 a gallon. That would be up from $4.11 a week ago, $3.63 a month ago, $3.19 a year ago. Diesel prices are at $5.65 today. They were $3.59 a year ago, so diesel prices are up $2. People who are in the trucking industry, shipping industry, whatever that might be, you don't need me to remind you of that. So all that winning, yeah. We need to talk first about the results of the election in Hungary yesterday. Before we do that, let me just remind you that our president, this was about a year ago, praising Viktor Orban. Here you go.
Oh, Victor, where is Victor? Victor, we love Victor. You are fantastic, all right? I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but I'm the only one that matters. You are fantastic. He's a great leader. I endorsed him the last election he had, and he won by 28 points. You're going to do even better this time.
Really?
If you have another election, and you're going to do great, and we appreciate it, and we're behind you 100%. That's Hungary.
Interesting. I have a request. Let me take that first, and then we'll move on. I guess not. Okay. Well, in case you just woke up, that is the person that the president of the United States praised. And just as a reminder, that same individual, Viktor Orban, supported democratic backsliding by changing the Constitution, wanted to control the media. Government allies have acquired many major media outlets. Independent journalists report pressure and reduced access. Critics say this creates a pro-government media ecosystem. Anti-immigration policies, passed laws restricting LGBTQ rights and access. Relationships with Russia and increased. He was one of Vladimir Putin's favorite sons. Critics say Orban's government steers public money to allies, loyal business figures, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, he lost. So not only did he lose, it was an absolute skunking. Peter Magyar's TISA party wins the election as prime minister concedes defeat in results likely to reshape ties with the entire EU. Hungary's opposition TISA party, led by Peter Magyar, won the election, bringing an end to Viktor Orban's 16-year grip on power in a result that is likely to rattle the White House and reshape the country's relationship with the EU. Less than 3 hours after polls closed on Sunday, Orban conceded defeat. Less than 3 hours after the polls closed on Sunday, Orban conceded defeat in what he described as a painful but unambiguous election result. I congratulated the victorious party. The right-wing populist told supporters in Budapest, "We are going to serve the Hungarian nation and our homeland from opposition as well." With 98.74% of the vote counted, Magyar's TISA party was projected to have won 138 of the 199 seats in the country's parliament, giving them a supermajority capable of amending the constitution and key laws, suggesting they would be able to reverse some of the changes made by Orban and the Fidesz party and potentially unlock EU funds. Fidesz won 55 seats, while the extreme right Misconduct party won only 6. Magyar, who pledged to repair Hungary's strained relationship with the EU, crackdown on corruption and funnel funds towards long neglected public services, said TISA voters had rewritten Hungarian history. Quote, "My fellow Hungarians, we have done it," he told the tens of thousands of jubilant supporters who had gathered along the banks of the Danube River to celebrate. "Tonight, truth prevailed over lies," said Magyar, 45. "Today, we won because Hungarians didn't ask what their homeland could do for them. They asked what they could do for their homeland, reminiscent of JFK. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. You found the answer, and you followed through. The election was being closely watched around the world as a test of the reliance of the MAGA movement and the global far right, many of whom have long looked to Orban as inspiration and sought to follow his playbook. Days before the election, J.D. Vance traveled to Budapest with the U.S. vice president saying that he had come to help Orban, election interference. You know, J.D., you keep doing your thing, man. You know, you visited the Pope died. You visited with Orban lost. You should spend more time with the president. I'm just saying. Trump had also repeatedly endorsed Orban, most recently on Friday when he vowed to bring U.S. economic might to countries if Orban was reelected. U.S. Democrat Hakeem Jeffries, the U.S. House of Representatives minority leader, said the results of the Hungarian election did not bode well for the Trump administration. Far-right authoritarian Viktor Orban, who has lost elections, he wrote on social media, Trump sycophants and MAGA extremists in Congress are up next in November. Winter is coming. In recent months, Orban was also endorsed by right-wing and far-right leaders ranging from France's Marine Le Pen to Italy's Giorgia Meloni. Meloni was among those who congratulated Magyar on Sunday night, promising her country's continued cooperation and wishing him success. I'm going to play a little sound for you from Eliza Orlins. She breaks it down pretty well. Here you go.
Monday, absolutely incredible news, because the exact model Trump and Vance want to import to America just got humiliated at the polls in Hungary. I'm Eliza Orlins, career public defender for 15 years in Manhattan. Viktor Orban ran Hungary for 16 years, and during that time, he rewrote the constitution, he captured the courts, he took over most of independent media, and proudly branded the whole thing an illiberal democracy. Trump called him a strong leader. J.D. Vance actually flew to Budapest last week to campaign with him and promised American economic muscle if Orban's party won the election. But Hungarians went out to the polls today and threw him out anyhow. The opposition party is on track for a 2/3 supermajority, which means they'll have the power to actually undo some of the damage Orban spent a decade and a half doing. Orban conceded tonight and called the result painful. Every authoritarian movement in history has told the people living under it that resistance is pointless because the game is rigged against them, and the game in Hungary genuinely was rigged. They had gerrymandered districts, state media functioning as Orban's party's PR, public money flowing to aligned oligarchs, billboards all over the country warning that Magyar would drag Hungary into war. Yet, turnout hit a record 77%, and the voters still won. Hungary is a test case that MAGA has been pointing to for years as proof that the illiberal project works. But tonight, millions of courageous Hungarians stood in long lines under a system built to make their votes meaningless and proved that it doesn't. Make sure you're following for more.
It really is a referendum. You get this far-right populist movement. Viktor Orban has been idolized almost. That's kind of the model that the MAGA movement wants here. Suppression of speech, anti-LGBTQ, control the media, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. She touched on this briefly, but hang on a second. She touched on this briefly, but I wanted to read this because this is huge. Approximation that 78% of registered voters turned out. 78%. You want to take back your country? You want to take back democracy? You want to progress your nation forward? It is literally in your fucking hands. 78% of registered voters turned out. This is the highest turnout in Hungary's post-communist history. Indicates exceptionally high voter mobilization driven by a highly competitive race and major political change. In 2022, it was 69%. In 2018, it was 68%. And in 2014, it was 60%. 78%. United States voters, moderates, people who are done with MAGA, people who are Republicans, who are sick and tired of the bullshit and just want a sense of normalcy. Leftists, people who tend to be single issue voters on the left who check out. 78% of Hungarians showed up to push back against authoritarianism, and they did it in overwhelming fashion. If they can do it, so can you. Get off your entitled fucking ass and realize what is at stake here. Realize what's possible. Seriously, 78, exactly. They understood the assignment. 78% of voters showed up to do this. We can do it too. This is exactly what Do Something is all about. We cannot sit behind the sidelines. We cannot expect change. We're gonna talk a lot today about this topic because it's related. The conservative movement in America, especially the far right, evangelical Christian nationalist movement, is deathly afraid of women in particular, seriously concerned about voters. So I'm saying what? Yes, so I'm saying that I am the problem. That's exactly right, Mayhem. Yes, so you're saying that I'm the problem, host. That's correct, I am. You see how easy that is? Probably not the answer you expected, right? Yeah, I am the problem because I'm a man in America. Actually, I'm a man in general. Anywho, there's a recipe here. It's called voter engagement. It's called showing up. 78% of registered voters in the country of Hungary, a record turnout, showed up, and they sent authoritarianism packing. They now have a supermajority in their parliament. They can rewrite the Constitution. They can take back what they lost. Yes. Yes. Fuck them all. Everyone. Okay, let's get into the situation with, well, let me do this first. There's a couple of things that we need to read from True Social. Some of them are incredibly, some of them are wild. Two things first. How do I want to do this? Let's, I want to make sure I can do this. Let's talk about the ceasefire or lack thereof. Okay. As you know, the United States delegation included J.D. Vance and Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. By the way, Jared Kushner is not an employee of the government. So the fact that he's over there negotiating is wild. But anyway, the Iranian delegation included numerous PhDs, people who've got, decades worth of policy experience. And we send the scrubs who got cut from the middle school tiddlywinks team to negotiate. Anywho, obviously no settlement. The battle over we don't know what continues. This reporting from Axios from this morning: Pakistani, Egyptian, and Turkish mediators will continue talks with the U.S. and Iran in the coming days in an effort to bridge the remaining gaps and reach a deal to end the war, according to a regional source and a U.S. official. All parties still believe a deal is possible. The mediators hope that narrowing the gaps could enable another round of negotiations between the ceasefire, which expires on the 21st of April. President Trump is considering resuming strikes if a naval blockade doesn't make Iran change course. Targets could include infrastructure that he threatened to attack before the ceasefire was announced. The blockade, like the U.S. decision to walk away from the talks in Pakistan, is part of the ongoing negotiations. The official claim that Trump wants to prevent Iran from using the Strait of Hormuz as leverage in the talks. Well, they already have the leverage. It's like, what are we doing? So what's the blockade going to do? It's just going to cause gas prices to go up even further, right? So, okay. We are not, so what they're saying, quote, "We are not completely in deadlock. The door is not closed yet. Both sides are bargaining. It's a bazaar," the regional source had said. Please don't stop. Inside joke. Hang on a second. We could play the authoritarian game. We'll play that a little bit later. You've got this thruple, this authoritarian thruple. You've got Viktor Orban, you've got Kim Jong-un, and you've got Vladimir Putin. And you know the game, right? You know the game. We'll play that offline. Maybe we'll play that in the Discord, but if you could put one of those into one particular category, you know where I'm going with that. Anyway, the president is in a situation now based on all of the, how do I want to say this? Lack of any competent advisors around him, right? We know that. So his dementia has taken over his foreign policy decisions, his domestic policy decisions, et cetera. And then he goes on Fox News, a safe space like Maria Bartiromo, for example. And he has this to say to her when she asked him this question yesterday about how things were going. And I would just like you to listen to his response.
Is this all going to be enough? The blockade in the strait, the opening up capacity in the United States is this going to be enough to lower the price of oil and gas, sir?
Well, it's going to be, eventually it's going to be lowered. No, it might not happen initially, but it's going to go down. When this is all over, look, the stock market, the Dow hit 50,000. It was supposed to be.
Okay. We're talking about sending sons and daughters, and he's back to the Dow. Cool.
Well, it's going to be, eventually it's going to be lowered. No, it might not happen initially, but it's going to go down. When this is all over, look.
It's not going to happen. It's going to happen eventually. Do you understand, MAGA? Do you understand? I mean, literally, do you understand that he just doesn't give a fuck? He doesn't care. How many times do I have to say it to you? Whatever.
The stock market, the Dow hit 50,000. It was supposed to be in 4 or 5 years. They said it won't happen during his term, but it'll be maybe 4 or 5 years. It hit 50,000 in my first year. You know it better than anybody. You cover it better than anybody. The S&P hit 7,000 in my first year. Before my first year, you know that. And I said to myself, "Oh, here we go. I gotta stop this country from having a nuclear weapon." You want to see a stock market go down? Let a couple of nuclear bombs be dropped on us, or frankly, any place else. And
yeah, not only would the stock market go down, but civilization would go down, Donnie. Cool.
Then you'll see a stock market that goes down. So the stock market has not gone down very much at all.
What?
It's gone down a little bit.
What?
Much less than I thought. And
does anybody give a fuck? Does anybody care? Do you really care? Do you give a shit about about Wall Street? Do you fucking care? Because we certainly know who's enriching themselves through market manipulation and the rises and falls. People who have capital are the ones who can take advantage of weak markets, right? So he keeps talking about the Dow because that's what he knows. He doesn't understand what it's like for parents trying to put food on the table for their kids, or to pay for their health insurance, or to pay their mortgage, or to have to work their third job, right?
Frankly, the gas hasn't gone up as much as I thought. But regardless, even if it did, we have to stop this group of people from having, and again, it was worse because Khomeini was a total, radical, I'll be nice, maniac. He was a maniac.
Okay.
And you can't let them have a nuclear weapon. Right. So I just have the greatest economy ever. Everything's going along. And I say, I'm sorry. I tell my economic advisors, I say, I'm sorry, fellas. We're in great shape. We have to go and take a little journey down to Iran, and we have to stop them from having a nuclear weapon. They all said,
a little
we
journey.
agree.
So do you believe the price of oil and gas will be lower before the midterm elections?
I hope so. I mean, I think so. It could be. It could be or the same, or maybe a little bit higher, but it should be around the same.
Could be. Don't know. Maybe. Could be. Maybe possibly could be. I don't know. Could go down, could go up, could stay the same. So the populist Fidesz party under Viktor Orban gets absolutely obliterated last night. For one reason and one reason only. Let's be very fucking clear. It's because voters showed up. 78%. Voters showed up. Viktor Orban might as well be Trump. I mean, the MAGA model, the America First model here is what they want. Is how they run on it. Is how they motivate their voters, or so they thought. 78%. 78% of Hungarian voters showed up. There is a response to this. Orban got advanced. He did. Hashtag free Francis. Yes, he did. There is a way out of this. And people say voting's not enough. Okay. Now, their model, of course, is different because they have parliamentary elections, much like Canada, much like the UK, much like other European and Western democracies, right? The party wins power, and whomever the head of the party is retains or becomes their leader, prime minister, president, whatever that might be. I like that model, quite frankly. I like that model. Not here. Although, who knows? All right. Let's shift gears a little bit. Okay, then. Sorry, I just shifted my chair. I'm good now. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about this situation with the Pope, because I think it's wild that we are in this situation right now where the president is going toe to toe with the Pope. In case you haven't heard, there's been this back and forth. So there's a statement that the president made on Truth Social, and I'll read it to you because I think that's the easiest way to do it. Okay. Everybody keep tapping, please.
Pope Leo is weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy. He talks about fear of the Trump administration, but doesn't mention the fear that the Catholic Church and all other Christian organizations had during COVID when they were arresting priests, ministers, and everybody else for holding church services, even when going outside and being 10, even 20 feet apart. I like his brother Louis much better than I like him because Louis is all MAGA. He gets it, and Leo doesn't. I don't want a pope who thinks it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I don't want a pope who thinks it's terrible that America attacked Venezuela, a country that was sending massive amounts of drugs into the United States, and even worse, emptying their prisons, including murderers, drug dealers, and murderers, into our country. And I don't want a pope who criticizes the president of the United States because I'm doing exactly what I was elected in a landslide to do. Setting record low numbers in crime and creating the greatest stock market in history. Hold on a second. I love you. Be safe, be kind, be gentle. Bye. Oh, sorry. Leo should be thankful because, as everyone knows, I was elected in a landslide to do record-setting low numbers in crime and creating the greatest stock market in history. Leo should be thankful because, as everyone knows, he was a shocking surprise. He wasn't on any list to be pope and was only put there by the church because he was an American, and they thought that would be the best way to deal with President DJT. If I wasn't in the White House, Leo wouldn't be in the Vatican. Unfortunately, Leo's weak on crime, weak on nuclear weapons, does not sit well with me, nor does the fact that he meets with Obama sympathizers like David Axelrod, a loser from the left, who is one of those who wanted churchgoers and clerics to be arrested. Leo should get his act together as Pope. Use common sense and stop catering to the radical left and focus on being a great Pope, not a politician. It's hurting him very badly, and more importantly, it's hurting the Catholic Church, President DJT.
Interesting. You want to pick a battle with the Pope. Okay. That's quite the wild flex, I would say. So Morning Joe talked about it. Here you go. Sorry.
I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person, and he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon so they can blow up the world. I'm not a fan of Pope Leo.
Absolutely
All right.
not. That's true.
There's a lot going on this Monday morning.
That would be Donald Trump's very upset that the Pope actually reads the Bible and the gospel, and he actually quotes the gospel and he quotes the Bible. Blessed are the peacemakers. And Mika, that doesn't even get to what the president last night posted a picture of himself. Posted a picture of himself.
Yeah, that was in response.
An AI picture is Jesus Christ healing people, and it just, I don't know, just the Baptist in me reminded me of what Jesus said. Many believers will fall away and betray one another and hate one another. And false prophets will arise and lead many astray. And because lawlessness will be increased, the love of many will grow cold. That wasn't the Pope. That actually was Jesus, who also said, blessed are the peacemakers, blessed are the meek, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for. We'll go through the whole thing down the road.
Ago, Pope Leo responded on a flight to Algeria, telling reporters, quote, I have no fear of the Trump administration, or speaking out loudly of the message of the gospel, which is what I believe I am here to do.
The gospel will be around much longer than any politician.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Joe. It is Monday.
So it's an interesting fight to pick with the Pope of all people. Like, why would you pick that fight? Catholics for Trump. Why would you do that? Thank you, by the way. Why would you do that? Why would you pick that fight when you are crumbling in your approval ratings, while you are just losing support from every fucking corner? Every corner. Like, no matter where you look, you're losing your right wing base. You're losing your echo chamber. You're losing your media support. You're losing some of the people within your own party. You're losing loyalists. And now you want to go after the Pope? He is a fucking madman. As we're just talking about some of the people that he's losing in his circle, you recall that he went after Alex Jones pretty hard recently. And Alex Jones has responded. Not here to pump the tires of Alex Jones, but it's just very interesting. Here you go.
It's going to scorch earth Trump to get him back on track. Only way to do it is to go after him viciously. You've already shed all over me. And if you try to rub it in, I just, at that point, I don't care anymore. So if you think I've been coming after you, if you think that I'm trying to get clicks by attacking you so the Democrats that don't buy anything from me and don't like me want to put me in jail, if you think I've been on your ass, say one more thing. One more thing out of your mouth. And Laura Loomer, send him this, okay? One more thing. When I've gone through hell back in your ass because you were the lesser of two evils, then I'm going to show you how to cow eat the cabbage. Do one more thing. You should be kissing my ass. But instead, you shed all over me and rub it in. I'm not looking for a fight, but if you want one, you came to the right.
Not looking for a fight, but he came to the right place. Okay. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am fine, my friend, and how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for being here. What's on your mind?
Well, getting back to the Pope, after I read the story about how they brought the ambassador to D.C. into the Pentagon and berated him, I wrote both my senators and my congressmen because my feeling is let's just keep this alive, because anything that makes this administration look worse and worse is better. So I said, look, bringing in the Pope, bringing in the ambassador to the Vatican and berating him is not really a good look, and we really should look into this.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're talking about making threats. I mean, technically speaking, it's a world leader. Technically, you're making threats against the Pope. That's what you're using your office for? Okay.
Right. Well, on top of that, the Pentagon, would be a State Department thing anyway, calling in an ambassador. It's really not on the Pentagon. So they kind of bypass that. My brother works for the State Department, and I talked to him about that, and he said, no, that's very much a no-no. You don't go around the State Department like that. It's the diplomatic thing. You're supposed to definitely deal with the State Department.
Yeah, I mean, I don't expect anything to come of this domestically, but the fact that the world has reacted,
Right. I agree.
However many Catholics there are around the world, but yeah, it is.
No, I agree, but I just think it's best if it stays at the forefront with anything you can pile on them. Is the way I look at it. I mean, there's plenty, so just keep it. Also, I'm beginning to wonder. I think it's JD. I mean, JD. He makes the Vatican let him meet with Pope Francis. Less than 24 hours, Pope Francis is gone. He goes. He endorses Orban. Orban loses. He goes over for the peace talks. There's no peace talks. I think it's JD.
Well, who knows what's happening behind the scenes? You're using this as failed policy from the president. You're trying to pump the brakes. You get him out of power. All of a sudden, you become the hero. Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
JD Vance is a political opportunist.
He is. But the point is, too, why are you having peace talks with 2 real estate guys and the vice president and no one from the State Department? The Secretary of State is at a UFC fight in Miami. There's, again, you're supposed to use diplomats when you're actually engaged in diplomatic talks. There's no diplomats.
Correct.
2 real estate guys doesn't really count.
Right, and the negotiators on the Iranian side were like PhDs with with decades of economic experience, et cetera, et cetera.
Listen, all Iran has to do is tell them they're going to change the name to the Strait of Trump. He'll give them whatever they want after that because they'll be all happy, and that's the end of it.
Correct. So. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for jumping in today, Chris.
All right, go Sox.
Go Sox. See you later, buddy. Bye. He's right. I mean, it's just an interesting fight to pick. That's from my perspective. That's where this sits. Let me just check in over here real quick. Wanted to thank a couple people who saw some donations come through. Let's see here. Thank you to. Hold on a second. Thank you to ACR. Ekri, just found your channel. Love what you're talking about. Yes, it's all men. Go. What does that say? I don't even know what that says. But thank you very much. I appreciate you. A couple more people in the box have requested. Kristen, thank you for your kind donation. You're very kind. Thank you for motivating me today. I appreciate you very much. Thank you. Chalky Koala, how are you today?
Oh, I didn't mean to request up. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Thank you I appreciate that. Thanks for being here. Oh, sorry. I don't know what's going
on. I left the coffee on.
Kay Hover, how are you today?
And she put your potatoes on.
Okay, I'm the progressive in your pocket. All right, so let's we can continue to discuss this in the petulant child battles that the president is taking, or the battles that he's picking. There's a couple more posts that I want to read from Truth Social, then we'll get into our topic today because it's more the same. Here you go. Sorry.
Iran promised to open the Strait of Hormuz, and they knowingly failed to do so. This caused anxiety, dislocation, and pain to many people and countries throughout the world. They say put mines in the water, even though all of their Navy and most of their mine droppers have been completely blown up. They may have done so, but what ship owner would want to take the chance? There's a great dishonor and permanent harm to the reputation of Iran and what's left of their leaders, but we are beyond all that. As they promised, they better begin the process of getting this international waterway open and fast. Every law in the book is being violated by them. I have been fully debriefed by Vice President J.D. Vance, a.k.a. the Grim Reaper, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Jared Kushner on the meeting that took place in Islamabad. Through the kind and very competent leadership of Field Marshal Asim Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan. They are very extraordinary men and continuously thank me for saving 30 to 50 million lives in what would have been a horrendous war with India.
Even though none of them have done that. Anywho.
I always appreciate hearing that. The amount of humanity spoken of is incomprehensible. The meeting with Iran began in the early morning and lasted throughout the night, close to 20 hours. I could go into great detail and talk about how much Iran has gotten, but there is only one thing that matters. Iran is unwilling to give up its nuclear ambitions. In many ways, the points that were agreed to are better than us continuing our military operations to conclusion, but all of those points don't matter compared to allowing nuclear power to be in the hands of such volatile, difficult, unpredictable people. My 3 representatives, as all this time went by, became, not surprisingly, very friendly and respectful of Iran's representatives. Mohammad Bagher, Abbas Agarachi, and Ali Bagheri, but that doesn't matter because they were very unyielding as to the single most important issue, as I always said right from the beginning, many years ago, Iran will never have a nuke.
No leverage. Our president has none. You know, it's really, it's telling, right? When you are trying to pump up your negotiating team, when they are up against people who are smarter than they are, more adept, more capable, more informed. Iran is winning this war, whatever you want to call it. They're winning the propaganda fight. They are winning the economic fight. They are winning the global sentiment. They are winning the court of public opinion fight. What have we gotten other than wanting basically to go back to the JCPOA? Because if you look at the negotiating tactics, or you look at what they want to negotiate, they're negotiating from Iran's 10-point plan that Caroline Leavitt lied about and said has been thrown in the trash, and the president doubling down. Okay. All right. Let's shift gears a little bit here. I'm going to bring you back to hearing that Pete Hegseth had with members of the Armed Services Committee. The first person you're going to hear from is Seth Moulton. Seth Moulton is from Massachusetts. And he's grilling. This goes back a ways. This goes back to the Signal Gate. The reason I'm playing this now because I don't want people to forget who the people are that are in charge. Who are the ones that are making these decisions? So here is Seth Moulton. This is a two-parter, grilling Pete Hegseth.
This is a gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. Moulton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Hegseth, I'd like to clarify a few important details for the record. When you texted the launch time for F-18s going into combat over enemy territory facing anti-aircraft missiles on an unclassified signal chat, did that launch time come from Central Command, yes or no?
I know what you're referring to, and there were no
it's a very simple question. Did it come from? It's a very simple question. Did it come from Central Command?
Well, in this committee, no way in which I communicate or what I communicate on a successful strike is something that I would share.
So you can't even identify the combatant command under which this operation occurred?
Well, everybody knows the...
Okay, so everyone knows the Central Command. So when Central Command sent you this information, did they send it on a classified system or an unclassified system?
Well, as you know, having served yourself, any way that the Secretary of Defense communicates or provides information in and of itself is classified and not to be discussed.
So what was the classification marking of the launch time when it was sent to you? Because DoD regulations require information on classified systems to be marked.
What was the classification mark time?
Yeah.
So what he's doing here is he's taking him through. This is exposing the blatant hypocrisy. Okay, and Seth Moulton is really, really good at this. I'm just going to back this up a little bit. I just want you to listen to a few things that he says. He's talking about, we're talking about here, Mr.
By the combatant command under which this
Mr. Secretary, the information that you shared was classified, and Keg's breath is trying to deny it. Again, it's important for context. It's important that we understand this is the person who's in charge of your sons and daughters.
Operation occurred.
Well, everybody knows the...
Okay, so everyone knows the Central Command. So when Central Command sent you this information, did they send it on a classified system or an unclassified system?
Well, as you know, having served yourself, any way that the Secretary of Defense communicates or provides information in and of itself is classified and not to be discussed.
So what was the classification marking of the launch time when it was sent to you? Because DoD regulations require information on classified systems to be marked.
What was the classification mark time?
Yeah. What was the classification marking?
Because again, classifications of any information in an ongoing operation that was successful are not things that would be disclosed in a public forum.
You can very well disclose whether or not it was classified. It's not classified to disclose whether or not it was classified. And in fact, DoD regulations state that any classified information has to be labeled with its classification. Was it classified secret or top secret?
What's not classified is that it was an incredibly successful mission against the Houthis.
Okay, so it was classified. So are you trying to say that the information was unclassified?
I'm not trying to say
that's what anything. I thought. You're not saying that. So you took classified information from Central Command that had a classification marking on it, because that's what's required by DoD regulations, and you put it on an unclassified system. So we're going to get a report in a few days from the DoD Inspector General. And if the DoD Inspector General finds what is pretty obvious, both to you smiling there in the witness seat and to all of us up here, that the information was, in fact, classified, do you plan to take any accountability for that?
Back. Chair, and I recognize.
Okay, so here's part 2 of that.
The previous administration let our ships get
Hold on.
shot at, and not, as I pointed out at the time.
You said that accountability is back. Does that not apply to you?
As I said at the time, Congressman, there were no names, targets, locations, units, routes, sources, methods, no classified information.
Okay, so if it comes back that it is classified, will you take accountability or not? We've already established, you've already admitted that it was classified because everything you get from CENTCOM is classified. You just explained that to me. That's how you justified not answering the question.
Not what I said. I didn't confirm any classification or.
Okay, so if it is
what
confirmed,
I know is that
will you take
everything I
accountability?
share, everything I talk about,
Mr. Secretary, does accountability apply to you or not?
Is classified whether I talk or not.
Does it apply to you or not?
Does what apply to me?
Accountability. You said accountability is back at the Secretary.
And you know what? The Houthis were held accountable for shooting at our.
I'm just asking if it applies
very
to you.
Successfully.
I'm not asking about the
previous
Houthis.
administration let our ships get shot at, and nothing was done about it. And thankfully, because of the skill and courage of our troops on the battlefield,
I'm just asking about
we actually put them in a place where they called for a ceasefire.
I reclaim my time. I'm just asking if accountability applies to you. It's a very simple question. We use leadership by example.
Of course. Unlike, I serve at the pleasure of the president like everybody else does.
So it only applies to the president, not to you.
I serve at the pleasure.
You talked about the success of the Houthi operation. About how much money did it cost? How much money did you spend on missiles shooting at the Houthis?
Well, you'd have to compare that with what it cost.
I'm just asking how much did it cost?
Divert our shipping lanes around.
I'm told it's several $100 million, maybe close to $1 billion. How many U.S. flagged commercial ships have transited the Red Sea since your so-called successful operation?
Well, thankfully, unlike the previous administration.
The answer is 0.
Military vessels transit.
No, I didn't ask about military vessels. I
which would be the precursor for
how many commercial vessels? It's been several weeks. How many commercial vessels, U.S. flagged, have transited the Red Sea?
Would you, Mr. Congressman, put civilian ships?
The questions are not to me, Mr. Secretary. They're to you.
We have responsibly put military.
The answer is 0. I reclaim my time. How many generals and admirals have you fired?
I don't know the exact number. But
you don't know the number. It's 8. Can you explain why any of them were fired? Like, just explain why was the Army JAG fired? Why did you fire him?
They all serve at the pleasure of the president. And I think.
No, I'm just asking you why.
General Kane is a great example.
I'm just asking you why.
That we need.
You probably learned at Princeton what why means. Why did you fire him?
They serve at the pleasure of the president, and we want better representation in each and every of those.
You can't explain why you fired any of them?
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair, and I recognize the gentleman from Georgia.
So what did we learn from that exercise? Again, that's the reason I wanted to play it, because this is the person who's in charge. This is the person who shared classified information. As it's been explained to me and as I've read about, anything from CENTCOM is considered classified. And the president shared, or the SecDef shared classified information via the Signal chat. Now, he tried to pivot his way around it. He tried to go back and say, oh, no, it wasn't declassified. There was no war plans. My guy, there was. I'm just going to play this for you again because I don't ever want to lose this. I know it. You literally just heard it, but it's so important to hear this again. So I'll be right back.
As I pointed out at the time,
you said that accountability is back. Does that not apply to you?
As I said at the time, Congressman, there were no names, targets, locations, units, routes, sources, methods, no classified information.
Okay, so if it comes back that it is classified, will you take accountability or not? We've already established, you've already admitted that it was classified because everything you get from CENTCOM is classified. You just explained that to me. That's how you justified not answering the question.
Not what I said. I didn't confirm any classification or.
Okay, so if it is
what
confirmed,
I know is that
will you take
everything
accountability?
I share, everything I talk about,
Mr. Secretary, does accountability apply to you or not?
Is classified whether I talk or not.
Does it apply to you or not?
Does what apply to me?
Accountability. You said accountability is back at the Secretary.
And you know what? The Houthis were held accountable for shooting at our ships.
I'm just asking if it applies
very
to you.
Successfully.
I'm not asking about the
previous
Houthis.
administration let our ships get shot at, and nothing was done about it. And thankfully, because of the skill and courage of our troops on the battlefield,
asking about
we actually put them in a place where they called for a ceasefire.
I reclaim my time. I'm just asking if accountability applies to you. It's a very simple question. We use leadership by example. Of course.
Unlike, I serve at the pleasure of the president like everybody else does.
So it only applies to the president, not to you.
I serve at the pleasure.
You talked about the success of the Houthi operation. About how much money did it cost? How much money did you spend on missiles shooting at the Houthis?
Well, you'd have to compare that with what it cost.
I'm just asking how much did it cost?
Divert our shipping lanes around.
I'm told it's several $100 million, maybe close to $1 billion. How many U.S. flagged commercial ships have transited the Red Sea since your so-called successful operation?
Well, thankfully, unlike the previous administration.
The answer is zero.
Military vessels transit.
No, I didn't ask about military vessels. I
which would be the precursor for
how many commercial vessels?
Transit.
It's been several weeks. How many commercial vessels, U.S. flagged, have transited the Red Sea?
Would you, Mr. Congressman, put civilian ships?
The questions are not to me, Mr. Secretary. They're to you.
We have responsibly put military.
The answer is zero. I reclaim my time. How many generals and admirals have you fired?
I don't know the exact number. But
you don't know the number. It's 8. Can you explain why any of them were fired? Like, just explain why was the Army JAG fired? Why did you fire him?
They all serve at the pleasure of the president. And I think.
No, I'm just asking you why.
General Kane is a great example.
I'm just asking you why.
That we need.
You probably learned at Princeton what why means. Why did you fire him?
They serve at the pleasure of the president, and we want better representation.
Did you fire him?
You get the point. Okay, you get the point. Sorry, friends, I'm a little distracted today. I got a lot going on in my head, but I'll be good. Got a lot. I'm good. I'm focused now. But thank you. These are the people who are in charge. The president who's talking about the Dow, mocking the fact that Americans are struggling to pay their fucking bills as gas prices fucking spike, etc., etc., etc. It's insane to listen to that. Now, again, that was just like, we went back to like the normal days of just, sharing classified information, sharing fucking war plans. Never mind that Pete Hegseth believes that this is, Armageddon. This is a fucking holy war. We're going to get into all that because the topic of the show today is, yes, it is absolutely all men. Now, the situation with Eric Swalwell, I want to talk about this because I want to thank, there's a creator on the app that I like. His name is Lex. And he holds space on this particular topic. Thank you, Paige. Holds space on this topic. I mean, it's all men conversation. And I just reached out to him because I was curious. Because I think the reaction that I've seen, unsurprisingly, is that some people are now jumping to his defense. His being Eric Swalwell's. I understand people's loyalty towards an individual, right? But if you are true to yourself and you believe women, as I do, if you believe that it is all men, as I do, then there is but one response that you should have taken, and that is what's been the overwhelming sentiment, which is not only have you suspended your campaign, which is the fucking least you could have done, in case you hadn't heard, he has suspended his campaign, but more importantly, you need to resign Congress. You'll have your day in court. You can certainly go to court if you want to fight these allegations. Go ahead. That's your right. That is absolutely your right. But for you to, for the statement to be a mistake in judgment, that's your argument. It was a mistake in judgment. No, having a third donut would be a mistake in judgment. Not wearing your helmet when you rode your motorcycle would be a mistake in judgment. Sexually abusing, manipulating, and in many cases, raping staffers of yours, that's not a mistake in judgment. Those are fucking crimes. Now, you'll get your day in court, and you're entitled to your day in court. And what we're seeing here, and I hate it when these things become political. I just don't like it. I don't like it when they become political because this is one of these things. This is one of these things that shouldn't be. The reaction from the right has been to immediately censure him and immediately throw him out of Congress, but they didn't want to do that when Tony Gonzalez, one of their own, who also said mistakes in judgment, had a years-long affair, got caught, and then the person he had an affair with set herself on fire. Right? No response. They circled the wagons. They circled the fucking wagons. In fact, these are some of the things that Corey Mills has been accused of. And then we're gonna get into this because we're gonna talk about this $17 million fund. It's not a slush fund. I'll tell you what it is in a moment. But these are the allegations of Corey Mills, and they're calling Republican Rep Corey Mills' top aide has quit amid disturbing allegations. Catherine Treadwell, Mills' chief of staff and general counsel, has abruptly departed his office after 8 years, just as Mills faces a growing list of serious allegations and an active House ethics investigation. Those allegations are extensive and disturbing and include sexual misconduct and dating violence claims tied to multiple incidences now under congressional investigation. Accusations from an ex-girlfriend that Mills threatened to release explicit videos of her, leading to a court-issued restraining order. A reported physical assault allegation involving a woman at his residence. Campaign finance and corruption concerns, including questions about business dealings and federal contracts. Additional scrutiny over stolen valor claims and other misconduct accusations raised by members of Congress. Mills, who of course denies any wrongdoings, mistake or what is it? Bad judgment, right? Is now under a wide-ranging probe examining whether he violated laws, abused his office, or engaged in misconduct toward women. And now his top aide is gone. Strikingly, she finished her email with the following: "The horrors persist, but I do not." The scandal that continues to deepen. Men of power doing the same thing that they always do. Yes, it is absolutely all men. And for many people who are still triggered by that response or that statement, do you understand what it even means? Now, this show today, there's going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to cover off on, so I will give you the blanket trigger warning in advance. I'll do my best to try to navigate through it. But we've got a lot of things that we have to play, okay? I want to go back a little bit. You may not have heard this story. Well, let's land the plane here first. So there are apparently Anna Polina Luna and others are potentially going to be introducing, or Laura Loomer or whomever are going to be introducing articles of censure against Eric Swalwell and asking for him to be expelled. Now, the ultimate hypocrisy would be, sure, do it. Get his ass out of Congress. Swalwell should fucking resign. His career's over. Now, the question is whether or not he's going to turn into a right-wing pundit or go on or travel the waters, right, and become a talking head. Here's the thing with him, right? People gravitated to him. They saw him as a fighter. They saw somebody who was standing up for women, ironically enough, when he was grilling Pam Bondi and he was grilling Kash Patel during their hearings. They saw him as someone who was willing to drop F-bombs, in hearings, somebody that we could relate to. And there's that loyalty thing. God damn, it sucks that it's him. Well, are you fucking surprised? Are you surprised? We are still seeing a dramatic difference between the right and the left, though. Immediately, people around him, people in his orbit, people who are fundraising for him have said, I'm done. That's it. Resign. People pulling their endorsements, people pulling their funding, people pulling their support, members of Congress, members of the donor class. Surprised? No. Disappointed? Absolutely. But not surprised. I'm just numb to it because it just happens every fucking day. But here we sit. Another white man with power in our country who will likely get away with it. Somehow, some way. We'll downplay it. We'll offer a settlement, whatever that looks like. It's disturbing. Carolyn. Is it Carlin?
Can you hear me? Oops.
I can. Hey. Good morning. I can hear you. Good morning.
Great. Good morning. Oh my gosh. I'm former missionary kid. I was a purity culture kid. I have never wanted to call out blasphemy more in my life. Like, this is scary. He seriously said, we serve the pleasure of the president?
Well,
what does that even mean?
Something. Well, that's something we've heard before. People that are appointed to positions I've heard that before. That's not the first time I've heard that. That goes back a long time. That they say you serve at the pleasure of the president, meaning the president can replace you anytime he wants to. That's what that statement means. I know it's disturbing to hear it, but that's, you know.
Oh man, this is the same guy who thinks we're having a holy war.
That is correct. That is correct.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just flabbergasted by all of this. Sorry about that. Like, what is their ultimate purpose? He doesn't have much longer. Like, they gotta know he's like sick as hell. Like, not only mentally, but physically at this time. And yet they just like hold on to it in some sort of worship.
That's part of it, and we're going to unpack that in just a little bit.
All right, I'll let you go about doing that. I'll be listening.
Well,
thank you very much
for joining. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Yes. Continue. The situation, again, this loyalty piece, right? You can be drawn to an individual because you see them as a fighter. You see them somebody that you'd like to go to war with, or that you feel could go to war with you. So there's that. There's the disappointment. But the ideological side, you are either all in, that you either believe women or you don't. It's really simple. If you're questioning this, like I said, you get your day in court, my guy. You'll get your day in court. Go ahead. But the cycle and the circle just gets bigger and bigger when you hear about the level of complaints against this individual. I'm going to play a couple of bits of sound for you. The first sound you're going to hear is from, I already played that. I already played that for you. I played that. You're gonna hear from Dale Partridge today as we talk about this entire fucking cycle of just chaos and mayhem. I'm going to play some sound from Joel Webbin and this podcast about how they see or would prefer not to see women involved in our society. Let me see if I can find this one bit of sound here. Give me just a second. Everybody keep tapping and clapping.
Personally direct.
Everybody tapping and clapping, friends. Caring and sharing, as you know. Where is it? I gotta play this. Hang on a second. You're going to be hearing from this creator. Her name is, I want to make sure I can cite her correctly. She was part of breaking this story on Swalwell and his despicable tendencies. But first, here's Kevin McCarthy. He was, of course, the Speaker of the House in Congress. He had a couple of very telling things to say. What I want to know is, where was he before? Okay, that's the issue that I have. People have known about these. People knew about the circle with Matt Gaetz. People knew about the circle apparently with Eric Swalwell and others, but nobody stepped up. Nobody spoke up. Nobody said a goddamn word. Nobody called it out publicly until it came out. So this is what he had to say. He being Kevin McCarthy.
Every member in Congress knows not to let any young staffer get around Swalwell or Matt Gaetz. It's not a secret there. There's a reason why you didn't want those two people around.
That's very telling, isn't it? Yeah, sure is. Okay, this is Mrs. Frazzled. She is a social media influencer, and she's part of getting this story released. So here you go. This is a great bit of sound.
When he launched his campaign, he wanted to launch with content creators. So got on the Zoom, was honestly like very impressed with him. So the next day when he posted a photo of himself on the little Zoom with us, I reposted it right away. I got 3 messages of people being like, don't give him your phone number. He will sext you at 2 a.m. You know, he sleeps with his interns and staff, right? And then one of my friends was like, just so you know, watch out for that one. So as we do message my friends who are fellow creators or people who've worked on the Hill or staffers, immediately it was very like, yeah, that's just a thing that everybody knows. I was like, how the heck is it a thing? Well, what I came to find out is like the vast majority of people weren't even like aware of him sleeping with interns or staff. The vast majority of people were aware that he was a womanizing sex pest type who you shouldn't be alone in a room with.
How did it go from you're hearing these things to I have been in touch with specific people who were willing to speak to reporters either on background, off the record, and on the record?
The first thing that I had was a lawyer who raised their hand and said, I want to work on this pro bono. That was number one, because some friends and I had been talking, is there anything we can do? And the first thing that came up is we can't just like blast him without protecting his victims. Until I had that lawyer, I knew I didn't want to do anything else. And I gave everybody a date in one of the Signal chats we're in. I was like, if this isn't break by Friday, I am posting about it. And people said all manner of things. Are you insane? You're going to ruin your life, your career, whatever. And I was like, listen, this man is going to have to fully sue me. He is not going to cease and desist me. He is going to have to sue me to shut me up, because I knew the truth. But it got to the point where I was banging my head against the wall because I had my one lawyer. I had some women, but nobody wanted to talk to the reporter that I had. Then I found some other reporters and everybody just kind of scattered to the wind. And I was like, I am a horrible collector of this information.
Apparently not, because it's out there now.
I got a heads up that somebody named Cheyenne was going to post. Do you know Cheyenne? They were asking me. And I said, no, I don't know Cheyenne at all.
You didn't know Cheyenne prior?
No.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
We just met through, I DM'd her cold and said, hey, I heard you're about to post. Is that true? She said, yeah, I'm going to post in the morning. And she did. And then at that point, I and another victim started pounding the pavement on it.
And why did she decide to post?
Her friend had gone through something with him and she had been aware of something happening, but didn't know what happened. So after that survivor saw my post, she said to her friend, like, please, can you say something?
So it was the fact that you were so public about it. Cheyenne then posts, and it's essentially her proximity to a survivor.
One thing about people asking, like, how did this not come out in the media, is that to break a story, you have to have a critical mass of women willing to go on the record. And one thing that Eric Swalwell did was he made his victims believe they were the only one. And I can't tell you how many messages I got that said, hey, I have a friend who wants to come forward, but thinks she's alone. Is there anybody else talking to a reporter?
This is not just one small detail. This is like numerous examples. Kevin McCarthy basically saying, stay away from this guy. Where was that public warning? Because they protect themselves, plain and simple. Okay. Let me get into this congressional misconduct. We've got John Conyers resigned in 2017 after reports of a staffer settlement and multiple misconduct allegations. Resigned in 2017 after a series of sexual misconduct allegations. This was Al Franken, although he disputed some. Trent Franks, former House member, resigned in 2017 and amid ethics scrutiny tied to surrogacy-related misconduct allegations involving staff. Patrick Meehan from the House resigned in 2018 after a former aide's sexual harassment claim and said he would repay the Treasury. Blake Farenthold, also in the House, was investigated by the House Ethics Committee over harassment-related allegations involving a former staffer. And then Matt Gaetz, the House Ethics Committee said it reviewed allegations that he engaged in sexual misconduct, among other possible violations. And now Swalwell. Don't forget there was a story of this is Corey Mills. Police investigated in D.C. an incident involving Mills and a woman described as his partner. The woman initially alleged that he grabbed, shoved, and pushed her out of a residence. Police reportedly saw an arrest warrant, but was not signed by the U.S. attorney. The woman later recanted parts of the allegation and no arrest occurred. Former girlfriend filed lawsuits against Mills because he claimed to use revenge porn against her, threatened to release nude videos, threatened harm toward future partners. A Florida judge issued a restraining order, finding that she had reason to fear dating violence. Yeah, that guy. Tony Gonzalez. He admitted to a sexual relationship with a staffer in 2024. Situation raised concern because relationships with staff can violate House rules if the power dynamic or favoritisms are involved. How is it not? See, this is we talk about, here's a great example. A system built by people who look like me to benefit people who look like me, to protect people who look like me. You're writing the fucking rules. These are the ones writing the rules. So that statement is, would violate House rules if a power dynamic or favoritism was involved. Of course there's a power dynamic. Of course there's favoritism. If you are attempting to manipulate a staffer of yours, right? That's exactly what the power dynamic is. Now, people go back to Monica and Bill. Now, they can say it was consensual. Okay, it's still fucking manipulation. It's still the fucking power dynamic. I mean, give me a fucking break. They're writing the fucking rules. The rules in a system that they will get away with. Why have we not seen anyone dragged into for questioning who connected to the Epstein files? Where is Howard Nutlick and others? Tony Gonzalez, again, he confirmed the affair after denying it. That's also triggered a House ethics investigation, that he engaged in sexual misconduct with an employee. Explicit messages to a staffer. These allegations are from earlier this year. A second former staffer alleged that Gonzalez sent her sexually explicit texts and then repeatedly requested nude photos despite refusals. Allegations reported in multiple outlets, and then Gonzalez has not publicly admitted to these specific claims. Really? Really? Burn them all. Every fucking one.
Hi, Steve.
Hi, Heather. Yes, I can. I got you.
Okay. So this is related. It's a little bit off topic, but it's related to the "it's all men until it's no men." Okay. Did you see that the protest dance that happened? I think it was in D.C. It was a bunch of girls. They did an interpretive dance related to the Epstein files.
Yes, out in front of the Supreme Court or somewhere. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So that video, I saw it on the Book of Face, and I, of course, was going through some of the comments, and every single comment that was from a man was something absolutely deplorable. Totally deplorable. I mean, I can't even repeat the things because of how deplorable it was. And all of the women pointed out that the men in the comments are the problem. And I don't know what it is about men. They want to defend everything. And but it is you guys. I mean, it is you guys. You guys are the ones who are doing it. You're in the comments. You are the ones in the comments. I didn't see one man in there either say anything to anybody in defense, like standing up for this, like nothing. They just, scroll past it. No arguing, no nothing, no calling each other out, just, letting it fly, letting those things fly. And it's horrible and it's disgusting. And
You're right, Heather. Again, just for trigger warnings, just in general today. I mean, these topics can get certainly triggering, and/or I don't want to be insensitive about it. We have to talk about it, though. We have to talk about it.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
we do, because it's important. Like, I like. And I don't know, it's also sort of related. I don't know if you saw the reports about, our fertility rates dropping. Well, in the report that they did of the fertility rates, they talked about how the fertility rate for teenagers, for children.
I'm going to play that sound. Yeah, I'm going to play that sound.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. That's a problem. It used to be that we wanted to not have teenage pregnancy, for children to have children. And now all of a sudden that's a bad thing? Steve, make it make sense.
I can't make it make sense, Heather, other than, let me rephrase. It makes sense if you're a Christian nationalist. It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. And we're going to get into that today as well.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It is Christian nationalism. I'm watching the Testaments. I read the book. It's the Handmaid's Tale sequel. yeah, this is what they want. This is what they want.
Correct.
And just for women, this is just like a little shout out to women, you know, white women in particular. You need to call out your men. I do agree it is men's job to fix men. It's not women's job to do it. But if you're a woman who's doing it in support of it, then you're also part of the problem.
Yeah, I don't want to call out anyone other than men. You can choose to call out your side, so to speak. I will.
Yep, and that's why I did, because I don't think it's your job to do that. It, like, I'm a woman, and so I can call out other white women in particular. You know, it's not the 92%, right? It's certainly not black women. It's certainly not, you know, it's the, what was it? Is it 42? It was 48% of white women voted for Kamala, or 42% voted for Kamala. So it's the other,
something
you know,
like that.
Yeah, it's the other 50%. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's the other, you know, it's you guys. You guys are also part of this problem. And yes, I do agree that it's definitely not your job, but this is why I'm doing it. Because white women, you also are part of the problem.
We all have to do better. We all do. Heather, thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate you very much.
Thanks for having me, as always.
You got it. Have a good day. Be safe out there. I'm going to play the sound that she was referring to in case you haven't heard this yet. This is quite disturbing. Let me see if I can. Here we go.
Data from the CDC shows the U.S. fertility rate reached another record low last year, only 53.1 births per 1,000 women aged 15 to 44. So that continues a nearly 2-decade-long trend. Let's bring in Dr. Mark Siegel, Fox News senior medical analyst, and of course the author of the most amazing book, The Miracles Among Us. Okay, here's the fertility chart, just so everybody can see this. I don't think this trend is not going to be a big surprise to people, but the numbers might feel a little shocking. How do you see it?
Absolutely. We still have 3.6 million births a year, but the problem is teens and young adults. From ages 15 to 19, the fertility rate is down 7%, and it's down 70% over the last 2 decades, meaning we're telling people that are young not to have babies, to wait till they're in a more stable life situation, till they're more financially secure. Maybe they haven't found the right partner. To your point, by the way, you said before we came on the air something really, really important, which is we also have the technology to say, okay, wait, you're still going to have a healthy child. You're still going to be fine because we can support pregnancies much better than we ever have before. Of course, I want to add to that some downsides. There's a higher obesity rate that interferes with fertility. There's a risk of polycystic ovary and endometriosis. There are more overall medical problems, and diets are worse. And then we're talking about all the chemicals in the environment, ultra-processed foods. You might want to have a kid, but maybe as you get older, you might not be able to. My wife, by the way, when she was 36 years old, was going to have our second kid. And I said to her obstetrician, she must be your oldest patient. He said, she's my youngest patient. Dana, we're having people are having kids in their 30s now, not their 20s. And again, that's leading to one thing I want to point out. The replacement rate is down to 1.56, meaning every couple is having, on average, 1.56 children in the United States. We need 2 or above to keep the population at the same amount.
Fox News senior medical analyst Mark Siegel made some eyebrow-raising comments, lamenting that birth rates are down among teenagers, age 15 to 19. The National Center for Health Statistics reported that the U.S. fertility rate fell to another record low. The agency reported that the number of births per 1,000 women of childbearing age declined from 53.8% in 2024 to 53.1% last year. The latest figure represents a continuation of a decades-long decline in fertility rates. Siegel joined Friday's edition of America's Newsroom, where Dana Perino said that while the trend is not surprising, the numbers might feel a little shocking, to which he replied, absolutely, we still have 3.6 million births a year, but the problem is teens and young adults from ages 15 to 19. The fertility rate is down 7%, and it's down 70% in the last 2 decades, meaning we're telling people that are young to not have babies, to wait until they're in a more stable life situation, till they're more financially secure. Maybe they haven't found the right partner. Last year, 126,000 babies were born to mothers between the ages of 15 and 19. The age group's birth rate was 11.7 births per 1,000 females. In 1991, the rate among that age demographic was 61.8 births per 1,000. Depending on the state, the age of consent is between 16 and 18, though some exceptions may apply, such as when underage teens are close in age. Dana, people are having kids in their 30s now, not their 20s. And again, that's leading to one thing I want to point out. The replacement rate is down to 1.56, meaning every couple is having on average 1.56 children in the United States. We need 2 or above to keep the population at the same amount. So young girls, teenage girls, are just breeding factories in their mind. I mean, he's just reporting on the data, but to make that statement, we need 2 or above to keep the population at the same amount. We do know that birth rates are declining. That's obvious, but I saw Ash requested. Hey there, how are you?
You know,
I know.
why I'm here.
I know.
And I have like 3 minutes before I have to leave because I got to take my daughter to school. So this is what I want to say.
You.
So
it's all yours. You got the floor.
The lawsuit I showed you for the video that I made about the states that were suing the FDA over mailing the abortion pills cited the same stats, that this was an injury to their states because they expected in states like Texas, where there's a long driving distance to get to somewhere where somebody can get an abortion, that they expected that they would see an increase. And yes, they used the word increase in teen pregnancies, but in fact, it's been dropping. This was in 2023 or 2024. So this has been going on. The other thing is they also cited that it interferes with teens in foster care. And that's like, I don't know, page like 135 in this bill or whatnot. But what that brings me back to is that this is about adoption too. And so this is about taking babies from teenagers and selling them. And this is going to tie into what's happening with immigration right now and the teens that are being impregnated. Like, this is so fucked up. Like, I can't, and I have to go. But this is like a big deal. Nobody gives a fuck about these children or these babies at all. And here's the other thing. It's pregnancies under 20 they're high risk pregnancies. They're not safe. They think it's a lie that children are, when they're fertile, it's safe. It's not safe. You can look that up. It's the statistics go up after a certain age, and it is dangerous under that age, and you can look this up. Like, this is just terrible. And the thing is when you've got these bills and these lawsuits, like, the average person isn't reading this. Who can read 300 pages? Like, I don't even remember how I found that part in that bill, but they're all over the place. And they're doing all of this behind the scenes. It's this long gang of white nationalism, Christian. That's what it is. Everything ties into that. I have to run, but we'll talk more on this. But I just wanted to, so for everybody out there, like, going and doing your own whatevers, you can DM me and I'll send you that bill or whatnot. But we've got to pay attention, and like Steve always says, follow the money. And unfortunately, they see. They cited this as injury to their population for loss of population, which is loss of income. I mean, they're stating it right there.
Absolutely. They need more They need more labor. More fucking labor.
That's it. All right.
Thank you, friend.
Yep.
I appreciate you. Talk to you later. All right. Bye. She's right. She did a video on it too. You can go check it out. I think it's a video on her page. But yeah, follow the fucking money. Right? Follow the fucking money. And we're gonna get into all this because I've got to play some shit. You guys are gonna be so goddamn angry. But it's necessary. That's why we talk about it the way we do. Appreciate you all being here. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. Good day, friend. How are you today?
Good day. Good day. I'm well. How are you, handsome, beautiful soul?
I'm good. Thank you for saying that.
Good. Nice always to see you. I came here to be dark, of course. That's the Scorpio in me. I came to be very blunt, and I'm going to set out a disclaimer and apologize in advance. What they are doing now, unfortunately, is not new. They had slave breeding farms to what? Increase their labor on the slave plantation. So, of course, everything they're doing now, they've done it to us as Black people first. This is for white people. I'm not saying white women. I'm not saying white men. I'm saying white people. They are trying to use your teenage daughters to increase the white race. Plain and simple. When they talk about birth rate and the ages of 15 and 19, they're not talking about Black girls. Not those people. And I think that's what's missing. You're not seeing that your children are now the prey. Your 15-year-old girls are now the prey. Now, what you gonna do about it? Stop looking in the mirror so shocked. Oh my God. Excuse my French. Fuck that. They're looking to take your teenage daughter and make her into a teen mother. Why? Because they've always done it. They did it to Black women. This ain't new. Some of y'all just don't read. This is not new. This is not fresh off the press. It's just been on the shelf for a long time, and they done blew it off and said, let's try this again. If you can't see that as a white person, sorry for you. Unfortunately, you need to
Oh, I lost you.
Hey, let's go back. This is why, what is that thing they didn't want in schools? Something theory, what is it?
CRT.
CRT. This is why they don't want CRT in schools. Because if they don't have CRT in schools, then they can't educate the students on how back in the day, kids at 13, 12 was having children. This is what the patriarchy does. The patriarchy does not protect the white woman. That's why I keep saying that, and I'm going to say that to the day that I die. The patriarchy does not protect you guys. Never have it and never will. Now they're going after your daughters. Are you fucking kidding me? I would be pissed off. I'll be kicking the motherfucking door down because you're not going to touch my child. Not mine. Correct. That traditional wife shit. That right there. It gets y'all every time. You're raised to marry rich so that you can sit on your ass and have babies. That's it. Then your husband builds a business. Then you force your children to stay in the business. You force them to have children. And then that's slavery. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Just because you bought your child a home doesn't mean anything. You just did the same thing the people did back then for sharecroppers. You provided a home for your labor. White people, y'all better wake up. You better wake up. Don't think because you live in a $500,000 home and your teenager goes to the top high school and she does this and she does that and she does this. That does not mean she still not pray? I would be pissed off. I would be so pissed off that if my husband walked in the house today and even thought he was gonna yell at my daughter today, I say, hey, you better tighten up, nigga. Oh, Jesus, excuse me. Sorry. Excuse my French.
It's okay.
The little black woman came out. It came out.
I got you.
But you better tighten up. Because these girls needs to be protected at all times. They need to be protected by the mothers, not by the fathers. I don't give a goddamn. Excuse me, y'all. It slipped out.
You don't have to apologize.
I'm just saying, we need to show up for these girls because now they're blatantly telling you in your face what they are going to do with your children. First it was, now we're automatically going to draft your son. Soon as he turned 18, he ain't got no choice. He got to go. He got to register for the draft, whether he gets in or not. He got to do that. So that's number one. That's number one, because they're already making it clear that they want an all-white army. So now they're going after your white sons. They don't want your white daughters in the army, in the service. They want your white sons. That's number one. Now, number two, they're telling you straight up in your face on national TV by promoting propaganda data, propagandized data. Data can be used as propaganda. All they had to do was set the date of birth back to get a 15 to 19, to even give you that piece of data and try to make it seem so official and try to make it seem so on the books, on the record. Make that 15 to 19 seem important. And then those of you that are not educated, you will take that 15 to 19 data and allow it to make you feel like you're less than. And that's the issue. You're not educated enough to know when somebody's giving you bullshit. And that's the sad part. And it ain't the ones that you think living out in the boonies in a trailer, because they just started voting 10 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. They just started voting. Really? Because they've never been seen. Now they got somebody who made them be seen. But once he's gone, they're not going to vote again.
No. And
we know that. It's the ones that's in these C-suite. Trust me, I'm an accountant. I've seen them all. They in the C-suites. They donate to Democratic causes. It's not always on the red side. It's with white people as a whole. Because when they saying 15 to 19, they're not saying 15 to 19 Democratic white women, young ladies, Republican white. They're saying 15 to 19. Look at who it's coming from. Who do you think they're talking about? You can't be so quick to jump on something, to be attached to something. You have to stand for something. You have to look at it and be upset. You be upset with your parents and they love you to death. So why is it not okay to be upset with those that are in authority of some sort? And I really want white people to get upset about the right shit. Stop getting upset about the wrong shit. Get upset about this right here. Somebody getting on national TV and you telling me that it is an issue that my daughter and her friends that are probably in the 10th grade, I got to tell her to pick up her clothes out the middle of the floor. Like, these are the people they're talking about. They're talking about our babies. The ones that we take care of. We know everything about our daughters. You finna tell me that it is a bad thing that my daughter and her peers are not having children at 15? Excuse my French, I'll spit in your face about mine. I had my kids at 20 and I had no clue what I was doing. You telling me 15? I will take a mugshot before and smile. That's how much I'll protect my daughter. And before I go, I want y'all to, when you see your daughter today, or if you thinking about your daughter, text her and just say, baby, I love you so much and I will protect you, because they don't know. They're children. They're in school right now, some of them talking about prom that's coming up, or looking at their friends' prom pictures, and their friends about to go off to school. They don't have the slightest clue that these people want to do these things to them. Hug them babies when they get here. You know they teenagers. They look at us like we crazy, like, what's wrong with you? Just be like, girl, hush, and just give me a hug. I love you. I just want to hug you. I just want to smell the back of your ears and imagine how it was baby neck. And you my baby, and you have no clue. And you know why I tell white people to do this? Because this is what we tell our daughters. Because they've always been the prey. I want y'all to get upset. I want y'all to put your daughters on a pedestal. If you don't already, I want you to do it now. She deserves it. If she got brothers, they need to be licking the bottom of her feet. Period. And there's no other way about it. When y'all come in this house, y'all know she is the queen. Period. That's how I raised mine. Her brothers know. We don't play that.
Same.
Yeah. Leave her alone. Let her be. She don't want to be bothered. Because boys gonna be boys. They'll roll it off the back like water off a duck's ass. They don't care. They just get bored and want to bust in the room and bother them. Why you bother? Leave her alone. You know? But she don't lift a finger. And that's how it should be. She knows how to fight because she got brothers. But other than and I love that. But I just, protect your babies. I see the clock. I'm going to go. But I'm going to,
you, friend.
That's all I just wanted to say. And just,
that.
Yeah, I appreciate you too. And I just hear, and to be honest, I'm going to leave. But I just want to say, I came up here to say a whole nother thing. But when you played that, it just triggered me so bad that it just went to something else. You know what I'm saying? And it just got serious because I came up here to be a clown. But I heard that, and it just my mouth dropped to the floor because I couldn't believe that this was being said on public. Like I just could not believe the blatancy. I could believe it. I know it's a thing, but the blatancy of them telling you in your face. That's just what I can't, the audacity, that's what I can't understand. And I feel like that's something that needs to be addressed. Like the audacity of you, like some of these people need to be shamed in what they're saying and how they're saying it. Like that right there, he needs to be shamed for that.
Correct.
We didn't stop being in shock for so long to the point where the time has passed and nobody gives a fuck anymore.
You're right.
I would be calling Fox News immediately. Like, how the hell would you play something like that? Their phone should be ringing off the hook.
They know their audience. They know their audience, though.
They do. You're right. Have a great one.
I love you, friend.
I love you too.
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Be safe out there.
You too.
I'm sorry. No notes. They know their audience, and we're gonna get into a lot more of this today. It's important to me to remind people what it is that we're fighting for here. So a couple other requests. Hi, Kristen.
Hey, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a minute. How's it going?
Good. Well, not great. Given the subject matter, I just wanted to add something because Recovering Perfectionist did a great job. A lot of reports come out about the teen pregnancy rates that we're seeing. And I just think it's important to note that the World Health Organization back in 2019, before the Dobbs decision, noted that like 55% of 15 to 19-year-olds have ended up having abortions. That access is virtually gone at this point. If we look at Guttmacher,
what was that percentage you said?
So it's I'm sorry, I lost my track. What was the question?
I'm sorry.
No, you're so good. You're so good. Oh, it's 55%.
Okay, that's what I thought you
Yeah.
said. Thank you.
So in the United States, but I think it's really, really important to point out that BBC and Guttmacher both reported that 15 to 19-year-old girls, adolescent girls who are being impregnated by men that are typically 20 to 29 years old, about 25%. So when we think about that data, we're aware that they're not just considering teenagers having pregnancies together. They're very aware of the fact that a lot of teen pregnancies are coming from adult men, and they're not doing anything about it. In fact, we obviously see that there's really very little regulation about, teen pregnancy and teen marriage, especially with, rape laws. So I think it's important to note that they're aware of what's going to happen, and they're giving that stamp of approval on it.
To your point, I looked this up. The states with the states where minors can marry with restrictions. Texas, generally 16 to 17 with court approval. Florida, 17 is allowed with limits. Alaska, 16 to 17 with consent. Mississippi, historically among the lowest minimums with consent. It tracks because those are some of the states with the highest rates of teen pregnancy. Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia, Texas, and New Mexico are the states with the highest rates of teen pregnancy.
Yeah, the same states that aren't teaching comprehensive sex ed, of course.
Exactly. Literally took the words right out of my mouth. Exactly,
the ones that are putting Bibles in school instead.
Correct. I mean, all these, highest rates of maternal mortality, highest rates of poverty, highest rates of crime, highest rates of infant mortality. I mean, it's the maths, as they say.
Yeah. And to Recovery's point as well, I mean, this is very much a white nationalist agenda. And we even see when we're looking at immigrant, undocumented girls who are going into ICE custody, they're moving them to Texas to not be able to procure any kind of abortion care or health care. So, I just don't, I'm so angry all the time, Steve. I'm just so angry at all of this.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you angry.
Oh, no. I mean, you're just a white man sitting on a TikTok app. I know. But yeah, I'm sure I'll have plenty to say and I'll request that, but I want to give you guys some more time. So I appreciate you having me up.
I appreciate it. So good to see you again. I think that the chat was happy to see you again as well. So please come back.
Yeah, long time no see. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Bye.
Okay, be well. All right, bye. Thank you. Kristen's great. I love Kristen. Well, yeah, it's a good opportunity here to kind of just to pivot a little bit. I want to go back to this. I'm just going to play. It's important right now. It's a good segue to remind folks the purpose of what it is that we're going on the road for. So, and these things are part of the do something push. I'll take a little break, get some more coffee. I'll be right back.
A lot of people in this country are tired. Not just busy tired. I mean soul tired. Tired of working hard and still feeling like they're falling behind. Tired of watching the news and feeling powerless. Tired of hearing promises every election season and then watching nothing change. And if you've ever felt like your vote doesn't matter, like your voice doesn't count, I want you to know something. You're not alone, and you're not wrong for feeling that way. Because when you feel ignored long enough, you stop believing anyone is listening. And when you stop believing anyone is listening, you stop showing up. But here's what I've learned in my life. The moment that good people stop showing up is the moment the wrong people take over the room. That's why I'm launching something called the Do Something Tour. Not because I think I have the answers, not because I'm here to tell anyone what to think, but because I believe we're losing something precious in this country, and that's our faith in each other. I'm going to travel the country to sit down with people who feel forgotten, people who feel dismissed, people who feel like the system is built for someone else. And I'm going to listen. I want to hear what broke your trust. I want to hear what you've lived through. I want to hear what you wish the people in power actually understood about your life. Because the truth is, democracy is not a speech. It's not a slogan. It's not something that happens once every 4 years. Democracy is people. It's parents trying to keep their kids safe. It's workers trying to keep food on the table. It's communities trying to stay whole. It's people who don't want to be a headline. They just want to be okay. And I know this. If we want change, we can't just hope for it. We have to participate in it. I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm not asking you to know every issue. I'm not asking you to trust politicians. I'm asking you to trust your own worth. To remember that your voice matters, even if it's been ignored. To remember that your vote matters, even if it hasn't felt like it has. And to remember that your presence matters, because this country belongs to you, too. So this is my invitation. Come back in, not because the system deserves you, but because your community does. Your kids do. Your future does. This is the Do Something Tour. And if you've ever felt powerless, I want you to hear me clearly. You still have power. So, let's do something. Together. The thing is that there will be another Eric Swalwell. There'll be another person that you thought you could respect. There'll be another person who will let you down. It's going to happen today. It's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen the next day. You know, and this TikTok is this microcosm, because there's a lot of people who would never put their face on camera, you know, to say the things that they say, the horrible things that they say about women, the horrible things that they say about the poor, the horrible things that they say about just about everyone that's other than themselves. It is literally the Christian nationalist agenda. If you want to help support us and get out on the roads, we can have these conversations with people. I would really appreciate that. We are approaching 10K. It's a big milestone for us. Facts still matter. I should say at Facts still matter, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Thank you very, very much. All right. I've got a few more people that have requested, and I've got a couple of things I kind of want to get to today, and we'll see if we can cover a lot of it. I can't guarantee we're going to get to everybody today, because there's a lot of folks that have been requesting today, but this is an important conversation, and I'm honored that you're allowing me to hold space to have it. Good morning, friend. How are you today?
Good morning, my friend. I am doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
It's a tough follow with the Queen Kristen Rader, but I'll do my best.
It's true.
Just quickly, so I'm the mother of 3 daughters, grown and almost grown, and I can tell you, I was speaking with my youngest the other day, and I think it's important that we protect our kids, and we protect any kids that are in our sphere as well. You know, whether our kids' friends or neighbors or whatever it is. While it's always important to have a safe space, kids are going to come to you if they know that you will battle for them. If they know that they have someone that will go to bat for them, they're going to come to you. So a soft place and a safe place is always important, but the place where they know that if they can't speak, that you're going to speak for them. Because I asked my daughter, I said, what was it about our house that always brought your friends in? And they said, Mom, they always knew that you would stand up for them. And so that had me thinking, and it is very important, because we do want to be there and keep them safe, but they have to know that we will battle for them. And I think that's really important right now.
I agree. I think it goes without saying, right? I mean, this is the whole, the bad behavior can no longer be, it's just boys being boys. It's going to require just a wholesale change to how we approach these things. And people are going to have to decide where they sit. Are you going to be a defender? Are you going to be, not that you're asking for us to be defenders. I want to be very, very clear.
Right.
Very clear. It's not on women to fix men. It is on us.
No.
It is on the system that we created. We can certainly stand as accomplices and then hopefully be welcomed in as allies. But I am not the arbiter for that. I'm not the arbiter to determine what's a good man. I'm just going to do what I can and unpack my shit, because I've still got a lot of shit to unpack as well.
But you're right. We have to create these spaces. Our children need to know that we care about them. Our children need to know that we're going to stand with them and support them in whatever they do. There's a story I'm going to play early, in a little bit about this young man whose father sued him for $6,000 because his kid came out as gay.
Oh my God. Oh my God. And in that case, as a woman, we need to stop being so much alliances and be more accomplices. It's time for our voices to, we need to have the activity behind it. So, but I can't wait to listen to the rest. Thank you so much, Steve.
Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Talk soon.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, bye. I'm gonna get into that story right now, as a matter of fact, because it's so fucking disturbing. And the underbelly to this whole thing, by the way, the underbelly is that there is a corresponding event to align with the White House Correspondents' Dinner, sponsored by Grindr. I shit you not. Grindr, the gay dating app, will host its first ever White House Correspondents' Dinner party, joining the lineup of events ahead of the April 25th White House Correspondents Association dinner. The White House is set to host Grindr, the popular gay hookup app, for its first White House Correspondents' Dinner party. Yet another influencer wrote in all caps, Grindr to host the White House Correspondents' Dinner, pushing it as a breaking information. Grindr is hosting an alternative party, so to speak. Nothing to see here. All right, let me read you that story that I wanted to share with you guys. Let me see if I have it here. While we're losing healthcare, while we're losing access to food, there's a young man whose father sued him because his dad came home one day and found his 17-year-old son kissing a boy. And his father took him to court to sue him for $6,000. That was the amount of money that he spent on training or some of the athletic endeavors, whatever that might be. Right? Yeah. Let me find the story. A Christian dad took his son to a TV court for $6,000, claiming his gay son owes him the money because he didn't attend the entirety of a summer conversion therapy program. The story appeared on a recent recirculated episode of Equal Justice with Judge Ebony K. Williams, a court TV show. Dad Gregory Talbert said he caught his son Michael kissing another boy the previous year when Michael was still 17 years old. Gregory showed Judge Ebony Williams text messages where he threatened to kick his minor child out if he didn't, quote, stop being gay. Michael apologized to his father and promised he'd do whatever you need me to do, Dad. Greg responded saying, let's fix this. Several days later, Michael found a religious conversion therapy program and told his dad about it. The program would last for 3 months and would require him to be present every week from 8 until 5. Quote, if I go to the program, can I continue living here, Dad? Gregory says he paid for the program because he liked the idea of turning his only child straight. He mentioned that he was very happy when he learned that his child would be a boy, so that he would have someone to carry on his family name. Something that as a very religious Christian in the Memphis area was important to him. Well, the program didn't work, and a month into it, Michael wanted to leave. He texted his dad, who refused to let him stop. Quote, son, it was your idea to go to this program. You need to finish what you started. I spent $6,000. Money doesn't grow on trees. How am I going to teach you how to be a man if you don't keep your promises? Just follow the rules and you'll be cured in 2 more months. Michael eventually escaped the program and went to stay with friends. He had previously stayed with a friend he'd previously kissed. His dad was furious and texted him to pack your things and move out. Gregory was asking the court to make his son reimburse him for the $6,000 that the conversion therapy program cost. Judge Williams dismissed his claim, pointing out that Michael only said he wanted to go because he was worried about being thrown out of his home as a minor. In an emotional moment, Judge Williams took Michael aside and affirmed that he deserves a family that loves him. Quote, young man, you are not cursed, she told him. You are as loved and as worthy, Michael, as your father, your mother, and everyone else who gets the privilege to reside on this earth, young man. And I don't care what your daddy says. I don't care what some stupid conversion therapy says, which is nothing but a bunch of hoopla and a scam and a money grab for young, vulnerable men like yourself. I see you. You are valuable. It's unclear when the episode first aired, but it's been getting attention on social media recently since it was just uploaded to YouTube. Courtroom television shows that are not actual courtrooms and therefore don't have the same rules. Let's see. The problem with conversion therapy that the show presents are real. Conversion therapy has not been demonstrated to be able to turn LGBTQ people straight or cisgender, are often run by members of the clergy or lay ministries in a religious context, and both children and young adults are often badgered into going into them because they want to be good kids for their parents or even worry about being thrown out to the streets before they're ready to support themselves. Research has shown that LGBTQ plus youth are twice as likely as straight youth to face homelessness. Conversion therapy is associated with increased depression, anxiety, substance abuse risk, and suicidality. I was going to play the sound bites, but I just couldn't do it. I'm just listening to that, and I'm just like reading this story, and I'm just imagining what that young man was dealing with. Obviously, he loved his dad. Listen, Dad, I'll do whatever I can. I'll do whatever. Please don't kick me out of the house. I'll do whatever I can. It is child abuse. You're right, Paige. Imagine that. Imagine that. I hear these stories, and I just see what people are doing. And that young man will be scarred forever. And hopefully he has people around him who just love him, unapologetically. Good morning.
Good morning,
How are you today?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Okay.
You had said something. Women shouldn't have to fix men, but we do have to start raising better ones. I work for the public school system, and something I see on a daily basis is that boys aren't held to the standards of accountability that girls are. Just last week, there was a little boy on my school bus who was pulling a little girl's hair, and I was speaking to his mother about it. And she said, oh, he's doing that because he has a crush. It's still not acceptable. We have to break these barriers that we have. And that's just something that I wanted to say.
Well, you're right. Again, I say this a lot. The problem is the system, right? It's the system. It's the rules that are written by people who look like me. So for the system to change, the authors of the system have to change. That's why I advocate for that's why I advocate for a matriarchy. That's why I advocate for a trickle-up economic system where we center children and women and marginalized communities. And every decision we make, economically, socially, structurally, education-wise, taxation, is centered around the things that should matter. Because in a system that's run by predators who take advantage of the system every chance they get by rewriting the laws and or not punishing the people who are breaking the laws, then we're never going to fix it.
Oh, yes, I totally agree with you. I just had to say that about raising the kids, because the one thing all men have in common is they all come from us women. And so we do have to try harder to make sure we're putting consent into their heads and teaching them not to be violent and, so on and so forth.
We should be doing that anyway. You're right,
yes.
But I appreciate you saying that. Thanks for jumping in today. Thank you very much.
Yep, have a wonderful day.
Same to you. All right, bye-bye. I think I say this a lot, right? It's like, how do I want to put it? The locker room talk, right? The locker room talk, and it's how families, especially in conservative households, are looking at their children differently. They look at their boys as to the boys can do no wrong, and they're looking at their daughters as their daughters are supposed to be subservient to their men. So you're already teaching that culture. And where does it come from? We know where it comes from. We see it every single day. Every single day. Absolutely, Sam. Fathers have, that was literally where I was going. Fathers have this responsibility because we are the ones that created the system. We want to raise good humans. That's our goal. We want to raise good, honorable, respectful people. That's what we want to do. And when you're in a system where there's so much influence, think about, we discuss this all the time. You've got the red pill, right? And then you've got people who really feel like they're, I don't know, creating a situation where men are just need to be more attractive, right? Just wash your ass and women will like you. Like the fucking minimum, right? Stop raping women. That's the minimum. So sure, we're out here to try to raise better humans. But when you've got a household, when you're telling your sons that they're better in the system than their daughters, we're not going to be able to fix that overnight. So I'm going to play a little sound for you guys because this is the theme. And because you guys are the smartest chat on TikTok, this is the theme. So you're going to hear a couple of things today. You're going to hear from some Christian nationalists. You're going to hear a lot of where this belief shit comes from. The first person you're going to hear from is Dale Partridge. Dale Partridge is a bona fide Christian nationalist. And you can start to hear why I often tell you how deathly afraid of women the conservative movement in America is. And we'll unpack as to why. So this is Dale Partridge first. Buckle up.
Is it good that women can vote in America? I don't think so, and here's why. Nearly every legalized moral atrocity of the last 100 years was made possible by the female vote. Abortion and homosexuality would likely still be illegal if not for the female vote. Mass immigration and the welfare state rode on the backs of the female vote. Nearly every modern Democrat, including Obama and Biden, were elected because of the female vote. Even last night, the new Muslim New York City mayor, Mondami, won specifically because of the female vote. The 19th Amendment has been a moral and political tragedy for America, but why? Women were not made to lead, but to follow and to feel. This is God's design, and it's good within the family and the household. But emotions cannot be what is used to rule and govern a nation. Statistically and generally speaking, women vote for whatever feels most kind or peaceful or safe to their emotions. Women crave security and comfort, and whoever promises those things wins their loyalty. The problem is evil men know this, and they exploit it. For example, women are twice as likely to men to be seduced into an affair. They are 26% more likely to be financially scammed online. They are 3 times more likely to fall prey to psychics and tarot card readings and astrology and mediums. The same emotional vulnerability that shows up there also shows up in politics. Many call it suicidal empathy. So I believe that we should return to the household vote, where women share their thoughts with their fathers or their husbands, and the men in their life make the final decision. Men are not perfect, but they are far more fit to rule with logic, and they are less likely to be deceived in political matters. So I don't believe that we should repeal the 19th Amendment because I don't love women. I believe we should repeal the 19th Amendment because I love America, and I love American women enough to protect them and our nation from their political exploitation.
I don't even know what to say. Curious, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
A lot of interesting things said by you and your guest today. Let me just say this. An
interesting thing or an interesting thing?
Just a lot of interesting things.
Like what? You
know, I feel like a lot of your panelists that come up on your side or people in the comments, I mean, I feel like they just hate men, and just maybe some of them made bad decisions on choosing partners and haven't found.
Stop talking.
Okay.
So this is the thing. So you have a couple of options here. You can either attempt to have a conversation that's rooted in something other than your performative bullshit. So which would you prefer?
Let's have a factual conversation here.
Factual. Cool. So it's all men.
Yeah.
You agree?
It's all men. I do not agree.
Okay. Well, I'm actually gonna let my friend Ash talk to you. I know you guys have a bit of a history, so I'm gonna let her.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Ash.
Oh, I don't know that I have a history with this person.
Yeah, I was going to say
history with just men in general. Yeah, men like him.
I think that's what I meant. Yes.
I'll stay quiet. You continue. I just wanted to join and possibly chime in if possible.
Okay, so curious. The reason I say, do you want to have this performative? It's like I don't think you do. First of all, do you understand what the it's all men argument is?
Yeah, it's what you're trying to say is like all men are failing America's youth. I would guess is what you're trying to get there.
No,
close.
There's some truth to that. No.
Okay, it's just all men. It's all of America's problems stem from men. Then I guess is what you're trying to push.
I would agree with that. Yes.
Okay. Well, it only took me 2 tries.
Why? But do you know why?
Why is that?
Because it's a system that's built by men. Can we agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree with that.
By white men in particular. Can we agree?
Sure. Just like every country where anyone's the majority.
We're talking about our country. We're talking about our country now.
That's fine.
So we agreed. A system that's built by predominantly white men to benefit white men and to protect white men. Would you agree?
Throughout my entire lifetime, absolutely not. But I mean, in history, yeah. I'm 28.
Your lifetime is irrelevant. We're talking about the system.
Well, I mean, so now would be my lifetime.
I'm talking. Thanks. We're talking about the system that benefits you, that you benefit in. So
I
when
don't think I benefit any more than anyone.
You do, because the system you already agree with. Friend, listen.
No,
try again. You do. Go ahead, Ash.
You quite literally do. I mean, we could just look at data like the femicide that we are in. We could look at the wage gap. We could look at who primarily is harming children. We can look at the policies that harm people, and then who is in charge, right? Who's voted in. You absolutely are benefited.
You do realize, like, I agree with you if you're talking about like some how do I say, grape charges, etc. Like men are doing the most of it, but you do realize like those are like sick individuals, right? That's not
no, they're men.
Sick individuals. Just like women teachers, they're probably majority of the sexual.
Stop talking.
Actually, curious, it's 87% of predators in school are male teachers, and it's 13% that are women. So if you want to get, some statistics out, I'm happy to do that with you. But I mentioned things like the wage gap, right?
There's no wage gap. Women just choose different jobs.
No.
I've got a quick trigger finger, but I'll let you guys talk to him.
Go ahead, Kristen.
Oh, I just wanted to play Warhammer 40K with you and let blood shed.
I love you so much.
You too. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't think Facts necessarily wants to get into like an empirical data conversation. So I'm not exactly sure, but if you, I'll just tell you, if you're not ready to have these conversations, or if you haven't researched this and you're just all about that's part of the problem, is that you don't want to know.
Well, let me just say this. So I'm married, have children. My wife doesn't.
Don't care. I need you to respond to what she said. Okay, I need you to respond to what she said. We are attempting to try to have a conversation. If you're not interested and you're just up here to perform, then Kristen and Ash can just take you out with the trash. My question to you is if you're willing to try to learn something so that you can then potentially break the mold, unless you're not interested.
Sure.
If you're going to raise... Wait a minute. I'm not done. Do you have children yet? These are simple questions. Yes or no? Do you have children?
Yes, I have one son and a daughter here in 2 weeks. On the way.
Congratulations. #GirlDad.
Thank
Congratulations.
You. Yep,
my question for you, though, is are you going to be raising your daughter to be less than your son?
No. Once again, I mean, I'm going to raise her to be an independent strong woman. That's like the whole thing with this. Like my wife would be just fine without me. She's a nurse. She could make her own living, do whatever she wants. She gets paid just as much as the other nurses who are men.
No, hold on. No, she doesn't.
Actually, she does.
No, hold on. I don't care what your wife makes. You also don't know the salaries of everybody else she works with. So stop saying things that you don't know. But when we look at the data of the wage gap of nurses, I'm not. Be
right?
quiet.
They get paid
be
the
quiet.
same.
You don't. Be quiet. No, they
Curious,
don't.
stop interrupting.
No, they don't. So when you look at the median of full-time RNs, which is highly dominated by women, men still make more on average than women nurses. Okay, so Facts doesn't want to get into that, but you can just go look at the.
Are they working OT?
Yeah,
I mean, they get paid the same hourly
No,
rate.
we're looking at I know you don't understand the word median, but the median worker, it's the people in the middle working full time. So no, the people who are working overtime are going to be on the higher end of that line graph. Line graph is straight. You should be able to follow this. When you look at the people on the other end of that, also the women who are working overtime and more hours, they too would be less than men who are working. So on every aspect,
Same job, like same
job, same experience, working full time. Yes, we see this in every single industry. But listen, here's what I want to say. It's all men, right? It's all men. Facts laid it out, the patriarchy. We live in a system that was built by men, for men, and that oppresses women and marginalized people. Do you agree?
No, I believe women have a much stronger voice than men today, honestly.
How can you not agree, man? How can you not agree? We just dissected it for you. You agreed with me.
I mean, yeah.
Bro, can you stop interrupting? Okay, maybe you can raise your children to be more polite than you are. Thank you. We just agreed that you benefit, that we are in a system. Why is it so difficult for me to understand as a 58-year-old white cis hetero male in America that I'm advantaged by the system that I was born into? Why is it so difficult for you to accept that?
It's really not difficult. Like, if you want me to agree with your propaganda talking points here, like,
it's not propaganda.
You're not going to get that.
It's not propaganda. We're looking at a system.
It quite literally is propaganda.
No, it's not. We're looking at a system. We're looking at a system, and we can describe the aspects of this system, right? So you said you had a son and you're about to have a daughter.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So when you prepare your children for the real world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does your son or does your daughter have more risk from being assaulted?
Yeah, I mean, my daughter would have more risk of being assaulted. I agree with you on that.
Is she more at risk at being looked at than less than and paid less in the workforce than men?
No, I would imagine it'd be what you're providing to that workforce. But yet again, in nursing, it's all on the same pay scale.
No, it's not. It's not.
Quite literally is.
Stop it. No, it's not.
Unless you have different classification, then yes, it is.
Stop. The data's there. You can go look it up.
The
data's there. You're wrong.
Could you provide me the source, please?
Yeah, Labor Bureau Statistics,
Hold on,
chart
let me grab my
39.
pen and paper.
He doesn't want to have this conversation.
Hold on, I'm grabbing my pen and paper. I've got my pen and paper right here.
Hey, Ash, is chart 39 the one that has the 596 different categories of career?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I am
Curious. You need to pipe down for just a second and listen. We're trying to have a conversation with you. And the reason that I am carrying you a little bit longer, Ash and Kristen know this about me. I generally don't like to carry these conversations as long as we are. But I am trying to educate our audience as to what it is that we are up against. There may be other people in here who are listening to you right now. Kristen, what would you like to add, please?
Oh, I was just asking Ash about the particular chart because we find that in healthcare, even though it is a woman-dominated field, this is an occurrence that happens in almost every way. Male nurses do make about 10% more on average, and we find that in 596 different career categories that men still out-earn women, even if it is a woman-led field.
working the same amount of hours.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, do you know?
Now,
Yes.
so
yes.
what is this? What is the source here? I'm going to write this down. I got my pen and paper.
Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Okay.
Correct.
The argument for
curious.
And you can pull up nurses like alone in that subcategory.
Stop. Just move along. Yes. Write it down. Go look at it later.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I will look that.
Listen, and stop talking. Are you going to raise your children to be more polite than you are? God, I hope so.
What have I done that's not polite? I feel like I've been overtalked here.
You don't shut your mouth when somebody's talking to you. Don't answer questions. So it's really, really
I
simple.
feel like I get
move on.
overtalked. That's why I continue to talk.
All right. I'm sorry. Well, so why are conservative men so submissive? Why are you all such subs and such babies? Anyway, the question is this.
Am I crying?
When you have, pretty much, yeah. So here's the thing. Do you have an issue with men crying?
Yeah, I have no issue with it, honestly. I think men should probably show their emotions more, correct?
I really prefer when men whimper. I'm just going to put that out there.
Whimper?
Do you cry in front of your friends, Curious?
I have before, yeah. Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you're raising your son and you're raising your daughter, is the message to them the same?
I'm going to treat my daughter a little bit more like, probably be harder on my son than my daughter, but that's just
why would you do that?
Why exactly?
To make him a better man. Like, you discipline a man different than you would a woman. Maybe that's
are you the example? Well, hold on a second. Are you the example of a better man?
I would say I'm a pretty good man.
Really? Are you the arbiter for that?
Can we take a survey?
You could ask my wife, I guess. I don't
Do
know.
you-
Been
what
with
do you
her
mean?
for
I'm curious what you mean by that. Are you gonna like
12
yell?
years.
Are you gonna yell more or louder at your
Since
son?
high school, 28.
I don't know who you're talking to. You're just like nobody even knows what you're talking about because you're just not engaging with anybody.
Am I going to yell at my son? Is that
What do you mean
said?
you're going to be harder? Like, I don't understand that.
The discipline will be slightly different, than my daughter.
Like how? Like, will you hit your son and not hit your daughter? I'm confused.
No, the conversations, like if he does something wrong, I would let my wife more discipline my daughter than I'll probably kiss my daughter's ass, if anything. And then like my son, I would be harder on,
What do you mean be harder on though?
What
is
does
that like
mean?
more aggression? Because we only see that more aggression.
If you're saying I'm going to beat my son, I'm not going to beat my son.
More aggressive behavior leads
hang
to
on,
more.
Hang on one second. I'm sorry, Ash. Curious. There's an example where Kristen was actually talking, and then you interrupted her, and you've done that with Ash like numerous times. So this is what I'm saying. Are you going to raise your children to be more polite? Kristen, please continue.
Oh, I was just asking him for clarification as well, because when you use terms like harder, it's pretty vague. We're not saying that you're talking about physical discipline, but what does harder look like? Is that just more aggression? Is that a tonal difference? Is that going to be a difference in punishments?
Probably like tone, how I speak to my son. If he were to act out and do something that he's not supposed to do.
Do you think it's good to prepare them for a world where they're going to be treated differently based on their gender?
Well, yeah, men and women are definitely completely different.
So why do you think that wouldn't apply to the workplace when we're talking about things like promotions and pay scales? You don't think that's going to apply?
Absolutely not.
Okay, got it.
No, once again, I do have the source written down, so I'll research that here when I get off here.
So, just out of curiosity, so when you hear this, it's all men. Yes, all men. Like, why does it upset you when this is just a phrase that essentially women take to protect themselves and say, hey, like, you don't have access to me. I'm not going to give you access to me. I think that I should protect myself because statistically men are who harm people. And men run the systems, all of them. They dominate them all. And we're in a huge wage gap. The wealth gap is insane. Well, why does this phrase bother you?
I would completely agree with you on like all of the violent crimes in America are majority men. I would say it's probably 90%, right?
It's not. Yeah, it's 98%. Overwhelmingly, 98% of sexual assault is committed by men, and not over 90% of all violent crimes against men, women, and children are committed by men. Isn't that enough? Isn't that enough?
You
that
could
we're in a global
you could definitely build
femicide?
on that, right?
I'm sorry?
I said you could definitely build on that and improve to make better men, right? I feel like it's lack of parenting.
What do you mean
white
make
people
better?
are
What do you mean
that
make
way.
better men? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of statistics that show that the divorce rate has been going up like heavy.
And what does that have to do with raising children?
Well, I mean, I feel like people are parented different when you have a father in the home, right?
So stop abandoning.
If you have
children.
a good father role model in the home.
Wait. What does being a parent have to do with divorce? You don't divorce your children. You divorce a partner.
Yes, I completely agree with you there.
I'm reading. We can stop this conversation. I can see it on your face. This isn't going to go anywhere anyway.
No. I have a bunch of, before you leave it. Hold on a second. So curious. Here's the thing, man.
Mm-hmm.
This is the question that I asked you before. Are you, so in your mind, you think you're a good man?
I mean, you could ask anyone that I know. I mean, that would be more, it's not my take. I'm asking you. I try to act like a good man, yes.
I'm asking you. So you believe that you're a good man. The reason I'm asking that is because, the reason I'm asking that is if you are going to raise your son with you being the sort of the arbiter and or the mirror for what is a good man, and some of the things that you set up here, Ash and Kristen, I don't know, I won't put words in their mouth, but I don't necessarily would think that they agree that you're a good man. So the question is,
what have I set up here that's hurtful?
I think when you use rhetoric like I try to be a good man, and when you say it's not your take, this is specifically your take on yourself, and you shouldn't have to try to be a good person.
No. I just am a good person. Is the whole thing. Like I was raised to be a good person.
I'm like a rhetorician, and I pay attention to your words because words really matter. And everything that you said has been laced with misogyny, and I don't think you recognize it because yes.
See, once again, you just continue with the same bullshit, man. So I think it's time to move on.
Hey,
thanks for playing.
You guys have a good
and do better.
Yeah, bye. The first thing you came up here and said was you just sound like a bunch of people who hate men who probably made bad choices. That's what you said. The first thing you said was that we just hate men, that women hate men because they make bad choices. That was the first thing you said. So yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck him. Appreciate you both being here. I've got something you guys will appreciate. The title of this little thing I'm going to read is called "Conservative Men Are Deeply Submissive Creatures."
I'd say they all are, but yeah, agreed.
Agreed. You guys can stay if you want. It's up to you. I'm happy to have you both, but thank you for participating in that conversation. I think the example, like I said, I don't generally like to carry people that long that has that have that take, and I'm glad we went there about him self-labeling. I always say this. Dudes who brag about the size of the wrench generally have a small wrench. So this applies. We are not the arbiter, fellas. We are not the determining factor as to what is a good man. Now, we can strive to be a good man. We can work hard at it. We can try to identify our gaps and where we have to improve. But we're not, just like we can't tell ourselves that we're allies with marginalized communities. We have to fucking earn it. Now, if you want to be an accomplice and, show that you're working to try to unpack your shit, that's great. That's great. Otherwise, we don't get that. We don't get to say it. Would you two agree?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm sorry, a man was talking, so I dissociated. What?
Listen. Just kidding. Me too. I wasn't listening. I was just kidding. I was pretending to listen.
I walked right into that one, didn't I? Walked right into that one. I guess I should go make a sandwich now, right, Ash?
Do you know how?
No hands.
I love you both. Thank you for jumping in today.
Bye.
I really appreciate you guys. Have a good day. Bye. See you later. Anyway, conservative men are deeply submissive creatures. This is from David Gate, who's written about this. If you want to see the conservative male psyche in its purest, most distilled submissive form, watch how it behaves in the presence of law enforcement and military. They just love a man in uniform. The conservative man will complain endlessly about taxes, about government overreach, about hypothetical threats to his personal liberty, but he will not question the authority of his boss in any meaningful way. The boss can demand longer hours, stagnant wages, unsafe conditions, humiliating compliance rituals, and the conservative man will not view this as tyranny. The man in the pulpit is the chief cop of their inner world. They allow the pastor to dictate their thoughts, their desires, and their moral framework itself. And here, within the patriarchal of the evangelical structure, the submission becomes total. These bitches are baptized. J.D. Vance is a great example of a submissive man. He did what a lot of men like him do. He put aside his own thoughts and concerns, found out where the power was, and then he agreed with it completely, submissively, humiliatingly, as if he'd always felt that way, as if no one would notice the difference. If you understand them as individuals shaped by systems that reward deference and punish deviation, the behavior is not private hypocrisy rather than its continuity. Their total deference to the boss, the badge and the pulpit are not separate phenomena. They are variations on the same theme, the outsourcing of agency, the comfort of defined roles. The artist, the queer person, the dissenter, the person who insists on thinking for themselves or expressing something that does not fit neatly into the approved categories. These people are not just confusing to him, inviting curiosity, they are a threat to the hierarchy. They represent all the possibilities he has foreclosed in himself. And the system loves them for it. Why wouldn't it? A man who fears thinking for himself is a man who will never have to be forced. He will volunteer. He will defend the thing that diminishes him. He will call it honor. He will call it order. He will call it God, country, tradition, anything but what it is. He will rename it and suppress it and bury it deep in his submissive little psyche. Yeah, there's that. Our previous guest, Curious, kind of walked right into that point now, didn't he? Yeah. Okay, on that topic, there's a few more things that I wanted to kind of cover off on. I do have a couple of other folks that requested. There's our friend Amber. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Hey, Steve. Been better. How are you?
Same.
Yeah, so first I wanted to make a quick comment about and just gently push back on the good intentions of one of the previous guests saying that these men come from women and we women need to raise better men. We're not making these children by ourselves, okay? And in addition to that, we have to remember that every single mother in this country has also been raised in this patriarchy and socially conditioned to be compliant, submissive, and often not recognize the ways that we are treated unequally. So we are expecting women to overcome all of that conditioning to raise better men without the help of the men who have put us in this position. And I have an issue with that, number one. Number two, speaking from someone who has been an educator for 25 years, has 4 children, 2 of them are adults now. I have both boys and girls. If you set out on your infant journey of parenthood there, guest, Curious, with the intention of treating your boy child differently than your girl child, if you think that your children are not going to notice that you treat them differently, you are incorrect. They will absolutely notice. That's where this social conditioning begins, with you treating them differently and having different expectations for your children based on their gender. If you are more aggressive with your boy, he's going to learn that men are supposed to be more aggressive. If you are softer with your girl, she's going to wonder, why does he think that I am less than deserving of the same expectations as my brother for my character and behavior? They don't understand gender roles when they're toddlers. All they know is that their dad is treating them differently because of their gender. And you're setting them up for the very system that we are having problems with right now, as evidenced by the high rates of violence towards women from men. So congratulations on setting out to continue this cycle.
It's a really good point, Amber. It's a really good point. I was trying to get him to understand that as well. You know, just the fact that his messaging to his son, he pointed it out. His messaging to his son is clearly different than messaging to himself, to his daughter.
In addition,
and basically saying, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
If he's aware of how absolutely abhorrently disproportionate violence is coming from men versus coming from women, why in the world would we set out to then treat our sons with more aggression than we do our girls when we already know that they have a problem with violence? And there's nothing in our biology, maybe he doesn't believe this, but the research tells us there's nothing in our biology that makes men inherently more violent than women. This is socially conditioned, learned behavior. And if you're already starting them off as toddlers with more aggression, what do you think the outcome of that is going to be? They're going to be more aggressive. That's what we see. We have the results right in front of us. And to think that you're a quote unquote good man, let me tell you about all the good men in my life that everyone around me thinks are so great and they're abusing me behind closed doors. Because that's the reality for most women who are being abused. They don't show that part of themselves to anyone else. That's how they get away with it. That's how they get their foot in the door. That's how they continue their lives. That's how they get you to stay. These quote unquote monsters don't look like monsters. Otherwise, no one would ever be with them. Everybody thinks they're so great. Their family, their employers, co-workers, friends, the people at school, because they have to keep up their appearances in order to continue to have access to all the things they want. If everybody showed their ass as a monster, then nobody would hire them. Nobody would marry them. No one would have kids with them. This is not rocket science. This is how they continue to abuse people. And all these people in power that you see that like come out with these allegations, like everyone's like so shocked. Oh my God, but he's such a nice guy. Like it happened to me. I met Eric Swalwell 4 years ago at the White House, and I thought he was so great. Okay. Even me, who already knows all this shit, who's already been through stalking and DV and homicide and rape and all this shit, right? I still fall for these things. I still look at these people and I give them the benefit of the doubt. It doesn't matter if they're a man or a woman. If they are kind to me and respectful to me and they talk to me as if they understand things, I'm like, oh, okay, what a good guy. And then we find out stuff like this. Well, I, for one, am no longer surprised, but a lot of other people are. And I hear too many Democrats saying, oh, this is a hit piece. They keep up the image of a good guy so they can keep getting away with it. That's how they get access to people, to victims. Like, I just, yeah, sorry. I had to go off because I was like, really.
Don't apologize.
This mindset of these people who think they're good guys, and then from day one, they're raising their children to have different expectations from society and for society to have different expectations for them. And one of them is that my boy is going to be more aggressive. Oh, thank you. Thanks for that. All of us who have been victims of violence from men, we really appreciate that. And all of these girls whose dads are teaching them that they have some lesser expectation of what they can handle or achieve. How do you think we got here? That exact mindset. And they think they're good guys, and it doesn't sound overtly evil or anything like that, but that's how we got here.
Correct. No notes.
Yeah, so sorry for getting up on my soapbox. I am, as everybody probably knows already, because my GoFundMe's out there, I'm going through the beginnings of trying to get out of an abusive marriage that I've been in for 22 years. Everybody thinks he's so great. So, and I do not hate individual people, individual men. If I did, I wouldn't call my dad my hero. I wouldn't reach out to Steve when I'm upset. I wouldn't adore my son. I wouldn't have gotten married. What I hate is the system that men set up to benefit men and hurt women, that all men are benefiting from, that we can clearly see in the statistics. That's what I hate. It doesn't have anything to do with like each individual man. They take it so personally because they are so egocentric They're raised to think that way. And obviously, I wouldn't be having like vulnerable conversations about my life with people like Steve that I've learned to trust if I hated all men. So, yeah. Sorry to be so vulnerable. I have 0 fucks left to give, Steve. I'm done.
I know.
So.
I know.
I've been hiding this for so long.
I know.
So, everybody, I hope, what I said made sense. And, like, it's about the system and the way we're conditioned. It's not about individual people, right? So, and it hurts all of us. It hurts men, too, because then women have to be afraid of you people. We have good reason to be. We don't want to be. You think we like it? And I have a son. I don't want people to look at him with fear or hesitation, but this is the world that's been created for him. I feel bad for him. I'm afraid for my daughters. It hurts everybody. And marriages are breaking up more because women have more access to resources and refuse to stay in these abusive relationships the way they used to. And day drink so they can tolerate it. Like my grandmother did, right? Anyway, so that's pretty much...
Or medicate, or Medicaid or whatever it was. Be numb.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're less willing to tolerate because we have better access to information to teach us that we don't have to tolerate this, that it's not okay. There are somewhat better resources out there for helping people get out, like, kind of, But once somebody has you,
Amber, keep going. I got somebody's at my door. Keep going. I don't mean to interrupt. There's somebody at my door. I'll be right back.
I'm going off. In the past, these women were completely financially dependent, and not just because they wanted to be. They weren't allowed to pursue pretty much any major in college to get the career they wanted. They had like limited choices. They weren't allowed to be lawyers. They weren't allowed to be doctors. They could be a nurse, teacher, or a secretary, and if they didn't want to do those things, they had no other choices. They became stay-at-home mothers, completely financially dependent on their husbands, and that makes people trapped. Because then you spend 20 years in a marriage as a stay-at-home mom, you have no work history, no resume, no references, and it's very hard to go back out into the world at like 40 or 50 without any experience and try to create a career for yourself. So, what century? The 50s? Do people think this was like 300 years ago or something?
I'm sorry about
Anyway, that's okay. All right, I went off sufficiently. I apologize for my animated, angry, whatever.
Apologize.
Well,
don't apologize, please.
I have a problem with apologizing for myself. I apologize for
you and me both.
Everything.
We've spoken on the phone enough times. We know that of each other.
Yeah.
So let's work on that together, okay?
I'm trying. And here's the thing, like, there is no part of me that ever wanted to be an angry person, wanted to have to feel this way, right? I was like such a good kid, such a good person, so hopelessly optimistic. Men did horrible things to me that I had no choice in. I have good reasons to feel this way, but every woman has a story. We all have a story. Whether you tell it or not, whether how, like, insignificant it may seem to you. And sexualizing girls at 8, 9, 10 years old, that doesn't happen to boys. But it happens to all of us. Like, this is the stuff that these men just, like, don't see it. And evidence of the fact that their privilege is so strong, they won't listen to us tell them. They won't listen. So, yeah.
Anyway, you know where to find me. Fill me in. Let's talk, okay?
Yeah.
I love you.
Thanks, chat, everybody, for listening to me go off and, all your hearts and everything. I love all you guys. I really do. There's so many people in this community I just adore. I really do, I know. I'm just done, like, trying to, like, be performative in any way, shape, or form, even about my own life. I'm just not going to do it anymore.
You shouldn't. We love you, Queen.
Love you too.
Let's talk soon, okay? All right, talk to you later. All right, bye. Just so many things that we all know Amber. She's been part of our family for a very, very long time, and we do speak off the app. I consider her a friend, and I'm honored that she will talk to me about things. The point is the reason that we carry that conversation, and thank you again, Ash and Kristen, for joining, is to try to expose that shit. And people like I have to go into these conversations oftentimes thinking that it's, generally speaking, it's typically performative, right? But there should be people, hopefully there are people that are listening in the chat that can be able to hear that, say, oh, I've got that similar view, and I never looked at it that way. If I've got a son and a daughter, I'm raising them differently, right? Like I'm raising them differently. You're literally, you are contributing to what we're just discussing here. You're literally telling your boys that they should grow up in a world where one vote matters. Or people like this, Scott Yenner from the Heritage Foundation. Every effort must be made not to recruit women into engineering, but rather to recruit and demand more of men who become engineers. Ditto for med school and the law and every trade. If every Nobel Prize winner is a man, that's not a failure. It's kind of a cause for celebration. Why can't our celebration of male excellence in sports be translated into all facets of life? More successful men will mean more happy citizenry and a stronger nation. Such medicated, quarrelsome, and meddlesome women gain their meaning through the seeming participation in the global project. They are agents of the new world, but not new life. Such women are now the backbone of every left-wing cosmopolitan party in the Western world, from the Greens in Germany to the Democratic Party in America. And if our ideal women is a childless media scold or a barren bureaucratic apartheid, there is no question whether we can have a future. We can't. There is a question of whether we deserve one. But women have fewer options. The thinking goes, they'll have more children. They'll be bound more tightly to the men in their lives with fewer ways out. This is about dragging the country back to a time when women had only one choice: to submit to men. That's Scott Yenner from the Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation, by the way, is, of course, as you know, the authors of Project 2025, and they are sprinkled all throughout our government. Those people. And you wonder why we have these conversations? You wonder? You wonder why it's so incredibly important that we continue to have these conversations? It's written by, again, his name is Scott Yenner. And yes, he really said that. Good morning, friend. How are you today? Hi, Maven. Tattoo Maven, are you there, friend? Did you request by accident? Maven, are you there?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even see that I was up. Hi. Well, I didn't actually, but I was busy doing something. But hi, Steve.
Hi.
That last conversation just made my heart hurt with Amber. I love Amber. And one of the things I just wanted to come up and say is, I have the all men. It's all men until it's no men mentality as well. Definitely been called a misandrist, which I tell people, yes, I guess I am, because misandry wouldn't exist if not for men. But and they've just made me this way. But I do say, I look at it from an airplane perspective. At 30,000 feet, it's all men until it's no men, right? When you're at 30,000 feet and you're looking at it in totality. But at ground level, I judge men individually. So I obviously know, like, you're a safe person, right? My husband is a safe person. We've raised our son to be a safe person, but not without having to have conversations, right? On failures that we didn't catch until something, there was a situation that we were like, hey, that's not, did you think about it like this? And so if in these conversations we say, this is why we say it's all men, because you can't deny the statistics. And raising men, that it's everything Amber said is so right. Like, we cannot raise our sons differently than we raise our daughters. But I did want to just give a little girl mom, example. My 25-year-old, she went through EMT school. And when she was going through, you have to study for your national tests and things. And she had invited 2 of the guys in her class over to study. And she lives alone. And one of the guys said, "Hey, is it okay? Do you feel comfortable being here alone with us, like 2 of us in the house?" And when she told me that, I was like, oh, my goodness, I would like to meet that child's parents, right? Just to be thoughtful enough to ask my daughter, do you feel comfortable with us in your home alone with us? And my daughter's response to this young man was, and I just let out a cackle when she said it. She said, "Oh, I don't invite men into my home that I cannot unalive by myself." And I literally looked at her and I said, "Can we raise young women like this?" Like, I raised this child to be like, yeah, hey, look, I just need to make sure that you know that yes, I feel safe here, but I am smart enough to know that who I can have in my spaces, and I will take you out. So just, can we raise some daughters like that, please? Yes. Anyway, that's all I wanted to share. The 30,000 foot view versus the ground view when especially when we're talking to men, because I've had men in my life who get offended by me saying it's all men. And then I have to explain, which sucks that we have to go into this, but I just say, look, as an individual, I judge you independently, but as a whole, I'm the one that has to be aware of my surroundings at all times. You're not afraid in a parking lot. You're certainly not afraid of women in a parking lot. If you are afraid, it's because you're afraid of other men.
Do you know that when I was in corporate America, I might have mentioned this before, as a person who was a C-suiter and who worked with peers across the country to help to create some of the largest benefits package. Do you know what one of the biggest single perks companies offered was? Lighted parking lots.
Yeah. Lighted. Yeah. Yep.
Lighted parking lots. And people asked why. And then it became the obvious.
Yeah, right.
To your point.
Yes.
To your point.
Yep.
I mean, I want people to think about that. Yeah, escort to security, depending on where you were, sure. I need people to think about that for a second, right? You were asking, as a woman who's applying, or non-binary individuals, or whoever it may be, applying for a position, do you have lighted parking lots? Do you have security available for after hours? People need to understand what we're talking about here, and for our, guests like Curious to not get that, I think his act is old and tired and performative. But in general, so people are listening today. My daughter's about to be 3,000 miles away, and I am fucking terrified.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrified, because I know what 18, 19, 20-year-old men think about, because I was one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was, like I said, when my daughter told me about that, that conversation, I just was like, oh gosh, this is one of my mom moments, and there's definitely people that will raise their eyebrows and be like, your child said that to somebody. Yes. And I'm very proud. But I'm also just as proud of that young man's parents, because that's what I acknowledged to my daughter too. I was less surprised at my daughter's response, because I know my child, right? And I was the most surprised at the fact that this young man asked her that, if she was comfortable. And I think that also says a lot. Yeah. When we're surprised that young men are actually, because to me, that's the few, right? That's not the norm that a young man would say that to, that would even recognize that another woman would potentially feel unsafe in her own home just because she's there with 2 men. So, anyways.
I'd like to point something out while you're saying this, Tattoo.
Yeah.
When somebody said in the comments, so host, you're including yourself in this. Abso-fucking-lutely I am. What part of that do you not understand? It doesn't trigger me. I don't get offended by it. I understand it.
Yeah.
So for you think I'm not labeling myself anything other than a white man in America who's benefited from a system that was built by me. People who look like me to benefit people who look like me, to protect people who look like me. What part of that do you not understand?
Right.
It's frustrating to me. I mean, Siri, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No, I was
go
just
ahead.
gonna. No. It's really no. What you're saying, it's so true. What I always say, and my husband says this all the time. He's like, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. My husband, yeah, just let it fly. Like my husband does not get offended. I talk shit about men every day of my life. And my husband just looks at me like, yep, So if it's the same thing with racism, right? If it doesn't apply, let it fly. When I'm with Black people and they are talking about white people, I make sure they know it's definitely okay to talk about white people the way you would talk without me present. If you are comfortable with that, because it does not bother me in the least bit. I am agreeing with you. That is the same concept with men, right? If it doesn't apply, let it fly. So anyways, well, thank you, Steve. This has been great this morning. It's always great.
Appreciate you.
Nice to see you. All right, bye.
You as well. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank
Be
you.
safe out there. Well, again, we read the Christian Nationalist from the Heritage Foundation. We go through that exercise. We've played a soundbite from this pastor, and there's more. And these conversations are just difficult, but they have to be had. I know that there was people that rallied around Eric Swalwell. Like it's like there's the loyalty to the individual, and you could hear Amber was frustrated. Our friend Political Mom, right? Frustrated. They fucking grew up together. They grew up together. But it doesn't change the fact that he is part of the fucking problem, and he'll use mistake in judgment. Like I said to start the show, a mistake in judgment would be having the third donut. A mistake in judgment? No. No, you're a rapist. You've assaulted women. You've used your power. You've coerced women. You've taken advantage of women. You used your position of prominence and power as a white man in America. And here's where we sit. And you're going to get away with it. Or you'll get a job somewhere else. You'll become a talking head. Because we have a script. Because we've got people in our country like Dale Partridge, who says, this is his way of making, I played this out from him before, this is his way of making America better, more Christian. Increase gospel fluency in the church, repeal the 19th Amendment, implement household voting, incentivize large families with tax breaks, criminalize abortion, outlaw homosexual marriage, ban Muslim and Hindu immigration, teach the Bible in public schools, ban women from masculine jobs. What? Okay. That's fine. And then you get people like Paula White-Cain. Okay? You get people like Paula White-Cain, who is the faith, who runs the office of faith in the White House. Because the President of the United States put this picture out on his Truth Social. So I'm going to leave that there for a second, and then you can listen to what she has to say about the President of the United States. And we wonder why we wonder why we are where we are.
Mr. President, no one has paid the price like you have paid the price. It almost cost you your life. You were betrayed and arrested and falsely accused. It's a familiar pattern that our Lord and Savior showed us. But it didn't end there for him, and it didn't end there for you. God always had a plan. On the third day, he rose, he defeated evil, he conquered death, hell, and the grave. And because he rose, we all know that we can rise. And sir, because of his resurrection, you rose up. Because he was victorious, you were victorious. And I believe that the Lord said to tell you this. Because of his victory, you will be victorious in all you put your hand to.
Father, we thank you for your son, Jesus Christ, who came to this earth to take our sins, that he died and shed his blood on a cross for our sins, that he was buried. He took our sins to the grave, but you raised him to life. And Father, we thank you and we praise you and we give you the glory. Father, protect President Trump. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I keep this picture up because I think we talk in this space often about messaging and how propaganda and media manipulation works. Look what's in this image here. First of all, it's obviously Trump with the red robe, though, the red and white, which is oftentimes how Jesus is depicted. You see fighter jets. You see the Statue of Liberty. You see the American flag, right? You see what soldiers. Are they archangels, potentially? You see the bald eagle, right? Again, you see soldiers down here. Notice the faces of the people in the crowd. Very white, aren't they? Yeah. Somebody said that looks a lot like J.E. Yeah. And it does. That's on the President of the United States' True Social page, right? So it's the manipulation. This is the full-blown indoctrination of Christian nationalism. Plain and fucking simple. The president, first of all, the faith office, why has the media not covered this enough? We've talked about it a lot. The fact that the president has a faith office, it's Paula White Cain, who's been shunned by her own community because she is she's a heretic, as they claim, right? She makes money, she grifts, et cetera, speaks in tongues, literally on White House property. Yeah. And Christians, okay, not my thing. I respect your belief. Choose to believe however you want. Most of the Christians that I know don't support this bullshit. In fact, they're angered by it. And now the president's going after the Pope. You see when we talk about, you see why it's important that we connect these dots? Because ultimately it's a grift. And it's a grift under the rules of your saving your soul? Okay. Okay. I'm going to get into that in a little bit more in just a minute because there's a few other things that I wanted to talk about on that particular topic. Yep. Project 2025 in full fucking bloom. All right. A few more things that I wanted to touch on because it's all part of this same equation. You're going to hear now from, let's see if I have the sound bite. You're going to hear from Joel Wedden. Joel Wedden is a complete, full-blown Christian nationalist. He is he's one of these people that is unapologetically just I don't know how to describe it. I just want to make sure I can get the right file here because there's a lot. I've got a lot going on here. Everybody keep tapping and sharing. Actually, let me just check in over here real quick. Conversations are hard, but they have to happen because they have to happen. I think I got that piece covered. Okay. Where is it? Stand by. All right. I'll just read it to you. Joel Wedden is one of those people who is certainly opposition is in opposition to anything other than his own Christian nationalist tendencies. So he was recently appeared on a podcast with fellow right-wing nutjob Wesley Todd. It's called the Christian Right YouTube show. New Christian right. As with nearly every episode of Webbin's show, there was a significant amount of invective directions at immigrants, the LGBTQ community, and other nefarious culture war enemies, in their words. But who's to blame for the advances of these armies of evil? Who's to blame for the rise of sexual immorality and the increase of non-white and non-Christian populations in the West? Well, in large part, they blame women. Male supremacists on the right want to pull women back from public life entirely, ensconcing them in a fantasy version of the past that is somehow even more ruthless and misogynistic than ever before. It's a politics of abuse, sickly legitimized by a gospel that is supposed to be about mercy. Just take this exchange from the show, for example. At one point, Todd exclaimed, God in his word, God in nature that he made said women need to shut up, that they need to be quiet. They don't get to call the shots. They don't get to rule. Webbin responded, so true, King. Women need to shut up. We're saying in the public square, we're saying in ruling civil positions of government, in the church, in ecclesiastical positions of authority, and when it comes to making decisions in the household as the federal head of the family, in that arena, absolutely, Wes is right. Women need to shut up. Of course, it is literally an offense to God. Todd and Webbin also connected the supposedly deleterious effects of women's leadership to the rise of Catholicism in the United Kingdom. In particular, he aimed his ire at the Archbishop of Canterbury, Dame Sarah Mullally, who was ordained this January and is the first woman to hold the position. As Todd put it, it is unsurprising that young men are turning away from Anglicanism and toward Catholicism when a woman is leading the Church of England, because the women are inherently too compassionate and permissive to lead the church. Women are too compassionate to lead the church. Okay, Todd insisted that women are simply not built for leadership by nature, a truth that he argued any young man can easily see. As Webbin's words made clear, the argument is not only about clerical matters, but also about the way life operates. That is to say, both Webbin and Todd are asserting that female leadership in any place and at any time defies natural law. I think this is a crucial aspect of Christian male supremacism that must be understood. They view the feminine as an affront, a weaker strain of the human condition to be reviled and conquered. Joshua Hames, a former pastor at Doug Wilson affiliated Pilgrim Hill Reformed Fellowship that Pete Hegseth attends, called the ordination of Mullally spiritual transgenderism. What he means is that female leadership is intrinsically a perversion. There's also a sense in which I think we can say Hames's misogyny reveals a central hatred at the heart of transphobia. It's a view in which it is impossible for women to ever obtain the privilege and authority of men, and it's pathetic for men to seek to obtain the subjugated status of women. As is clear, the way Webbin, Todd, and Hames express their extreme beliefs is shockingly vile. What is even more disturbing is the totalizing approach these men take, extending their male supremacist logic into almost every aspect of public life. Of course, in many ways, it's already there. The refrain of "shut up, bitch," echoed from Andrew Tate videos on the halls of junior high schools to daily spats on social media, carries a simple message. The feminine is to be reviled and stamped out in its entirety. The president saying, "Quiet, piggy," among other things. The atmospheric, inescapable assumption of male supremacy can't be cordoned off in the manosphere. In the mundane expressions, they drive so much of daily life, and they are animating feature of the far-right politics dismantling American democracy today. The desire for quiet women, really for silent women, in every public forum is neither about adherence to biblical truth nor the revelation of natural law. It is, as with white supremacy, a logic of domination, of grape, telling women to shut up, attempting to banish them from civic life, and insisting on the right of men by virtue of their equipment to rule as they please, is a politics of grape. When these men talk about what they'll permit women to do, it's always essentially a threat. But their inability to hear any dissent puts the lie to their claims. There is no strength here, no virtue or authority. There's only the fragile, preening ego of the abuser. entire system, and they just live in it. They don't even understand why they benefit from it, and who's being harmed. Passion Flower, are you there? You might have timed out. You can request again if you want to come back up, friend. Wildly Savage, good morning. How are you today?
Morning, Steve. I'm good. How are you?
Doing okay. What's on your mind?
The topic you just brought up, very interesting. Been digging into it more and more since the threats thrown at the Pope last week.
Yeah.
So I am trying to learn a little bit more about this line in the sand that the administration is now drawing. I understand, of course, the white nationalism, etc., but they are, as we know, continuously making the accepted group smaller and smaller. And I find it very interesting that they're now drawing a line in the sand between, I guess, what you would say are the Protestants and the Catholics. I was just hoping that at some point within the next few days, you could dig more into that and give us a little bit of the religious education behind it, because a lot of people are blind followers, not just of the admin, but of their faith. And I think we need to understand kind of the origins of that battle between those two, and how they're bringing that in to play out now to, divest even further and make their accepted group even smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, because the folks that identify as MAGA or MAGA adjacent or whatever, none of them are actually fitting in that category at this point. So I just find it very funny. The evangelicals, etc., like now the Catholics are being casted out. Like, what do they think about that? Like, who's in the group now? Who's the in crowd? It's smaller and smaller every day. But yeah, I don't have all of the knowledge about the beef between the religious sects, and I know that the admin is not actually living out what they profess to be living out, obviously, but they're using that historical divide. And I would just like to learn more about it. And I think other people would like to understand that too. So just a request, if you could dig in more.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I will dive into that topic. Certainly not my area of expertise, but I will certainly dig into it, because I think you're right. We certainly do need to call that out for sure. Thanks for jumping in today, friend. I appreciate you very much. Thanks for being here.
Have a good week.
Have a
Bye.
good day. Be safe out there. You too. All right, bye. And then again, there's these little moments, right? So this was the president called into to Fox News just a couple weeks ago, and he had this to say.
We have not been able to see or hear from
Dana Perino is the person who is interviewing him.
We have not been able to see or hear from any of the Iranian people, and I imagine that is because their internet is shut down, and I think there is some general worry about them. Obviously, their government treats them terribly and killed tens of thousands of them in January. I like Kayleigh, I would never ask you to tell us something that is classified, but do you have any insight as to how they are doing? Do they have drinking water? Do they have food?
Right, I do.
It's upsetting.
I do. But first, you remember when we had lunch years ago in the base of Trump Tower, when it was a brand new building?
It was a long time ago, yes.
A long time ago, and you haven't changed.
Oh.
You have not changed. Now, I'm not allowed to say this. It's the end of my political career, but you may be even better looking, okay? So I don't know what you're doing. But I will not say that.
Has a lot
I will
to do
not
with
say
that.
that, because that will end my political career. You know, you're not allowed to say a woman's beautiful anymore.
I don't even know what to say, to be honest. Still think it's not important to vote. Blue Dot, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay. I have been thinking about this Swalwell situation since the story broke, and I wonder why it took the California Democrats so long. Because this was apparently a open secret. And I need, like, is it okay if I turn my camera on?
Absolutely.
Okay. Need to have a face-to-face conversation with our party leaders. Okay. If you hear about impropriety from a party leader, an elected official, a candidate, it is our duty to stand up and to first of all keep an eye on them, because those behaviors are always a pattern. They're always a pattern. And then to speak out about it. Don't make the victims come forward. If you've seen proof, stand up. If you are in a position of power within the party, like, I need you to actually do something about it. Don't just be like, oh, well, boys will be boys. No, we're not doing that anymore. It's 2026. We had a somebody in the party last year who was saying they were going to run for governor. This guy has sent inappropriate messages to multiple women who have sent them to me. I've seen screenshots. Okay? And what I did when I saw him going around and talking about, oh, I'm going to run for governor, I, on party pages, I was like, no, you're not. Because here's what I'm going to do. I've already written the resolution to make sure you don't get party resources, and I will absolutely bring it up the minute you drop your candidacy. Absolutely. 100%. I don't need to tell you who the victims were, who received the inappropriate messages. I have verified them. I know that they are real, and I know that it was you. You weren't hacked. And I told him that over a year ago. That man has decided that he is going to be angry at me all over the internet and tag me because apparently I live rent-free in his head. But you know what he's not doing? He's not running for office as a Democrat. He's not our problem. Like, this is how, like, you don't have to tell somebody else's story. All you have to do is say, you know what? I've seen the proof, and I'm going to bring it to our central committee. Okay? And this is in Nebraska. We don't have a deep bench. Now, this guy was not a good candidate. Like, for multiple reasons. No, he's actually running under a third party. So that's super fun. Somebody asked if he was running as an independent. Nope, it is not. It is not the name that you probably know if you are outside of the state. It is a name that nobody knows because the last time he ran in a primary, he lost to somebody who didn't even live in the district. Bonnie, I'll tell you, it's not worth putting his name out.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that right now. But we can do that. Yeah.
Especially since he's literally nobody. But this is how you handle it. And in California, where you have such a deep bench that there are people who have been waiting their turn to run, there is no reason, absolutely no reason, to keep problematic people in positions of power, whether it's within the party structure or whether it's elected positions. Because in Nebraska, we hold people accountable. We tossed Chris Janacek off of party resources. It hit the news. It's because he sent inappropriate messages to a staffer. And this is when you have something big to lose. So I need our party people to do better and to hold these people accountable and to make sure that we are not just being like, oh, you know. No, you need to take it seriously.
You're right. We're long past that, but I will always try to find, if there's such a thing, of a silver lining in this, that maybe more and more people are willing to have these conversations, and maybe more people will speak up, and maybe more men will call up other men, and maybe more elected officials will be held accountable, and maybe corporations, whatever that might be, will be regulating this bullshit out of existence. But I'm going to hope for that. I want to thank you for jumping in today, friend. I appreciate you being here. We had a delay, maybe. Are you back?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. There is a congressional fund, by the way, in case you didn't know this, that was set up to defend sexual allegations. The Congressional Accountability Act of 1995 allows taxpayer funds to be used for paying settlements when members of Congress are accused of sexual harassment. Since 1995, $17 million of taxpayer money has been paid out in 264 individual cases. The act faced virtually no opposition at the time, with a unanimous 390-0 House vote and a nearly unanimous 98-1 Senate vote. However, in recent months, with powerful men in politics and other professions felled by accusations of sexual harassment or sexual assault, a renewed focus has been placed on the 1995 law, with many calling for it to be updated for a different era. The fund for Congress to use to settle sexual harassment claims without going to court or having it made public existed, and it has been used to cover legal expenses and settle cases. The fund has paid out $17 million in the past 10 years, although it is not clear how much of that was for cases of sexual harassment. The fund has been criticized for lacking transparency and for not distinguishing between sexual harassment claims and other general workplace claims. The Office of Congressional Workplace Rights has paid out $18.2 million to settle 291 cases of workplace disputes for Congress, the Capitol Police, the Architect of the Capitol, the Library of Congress. Reports surfaced that then-Rep. John Conyers of Michigan negotiated a secret settlement with a female staffer who accused him of sexual misconduct, and the 88-year-old quickly resigned from Congress. The allegations of Rep. Eric Swalwell, including multiple non-consensual sexual encounters with allegations from a former staffer and more from 3 additional women. Swalwell, of course, has denied the claims, called them a mistaken judgment, and is under investigation by the Manhattan DA for sexual assault allegations. The situation has raised questions about the handling of sexual harassment claims by Congress and the implications of the public and the political process. Taxpayer-funded dollars, $17 million or so from, it's not a slush fund, but there's no transparency. And we're just okay with that. We're just going to let that continue. Hi, Heather.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay.
Good. Going back to the raising our sons thing. When my oldest daughter was in the 1st grade, I got a call from the teacher saying she was beating up the boys. And I was like, well, why was she beating up the boys? And they said, well, they were lifting up her dress. And I'm like, so why is her beating them up for lifting up her dress a problem? You know? And I said, you need to be disciplining the boys, not my daughter. She was taught to defend herself. I mean, I was flabbergasted.
Yeah, but we shouldn't be surprised, right?
Right. You know, and a lot of it is, for too long, we have been excusing boys' behavior as being primal and there's no way to control it, instead of raising them to actually respect women.
Correct.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. The boys will be boys. The locker room talk excuse. I mean, all of it. It's like they act like it's a primal thing and that it can't be corrected, and it very well can be corrected.
Well, it has to be corrected.
Exactly.
It has to be.
So we're not
Nicole,
raising our kids right.
As Nicole points out, no is a full sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thanks for jumping in today, Heather. I appreciate you very much for being here.
You too. Thank you.
This tracks, and I think Kristen touched on this earlier, about how we need to, our education system, first of all, I've got some sound that I can play from Linda McMahon. We're going to go till noon today. I've got a few more other things that I need to play for you guys, because we have to talk about a situation that happened in Washington County, Tennessee. We'll get into that in just a moment. But how I'm an advocate for age-appropriate sex ed. I think the earlier it starts, the better. For examples like what we discussed today, like proper names for genitalia and body parts, understanding what good touch is, and then conversation of consent. We don't do that. We're afraid of it in Western culture. We're afraid of because of the purity violations. Like, we can't have conversations about sexuality for some reason, because the evangelical right, the Christian right, doesn't want those conversations to happen, right? Once again, if we had a society that was centered around children and women, because of the fragile nature of the most vulnerable people in our society in general, if we just focus our energy around them, everything, education, healthcare, infrastructure, we would have those conversations. Curriculum would be centered around those things. How do we make people aware of the problem? Don't forget, children who are abused, if you've never had the conversation about good touch, bad touch, you wouldn't know it's bad touch. How would you? People that trust you, you're told it's an act of love? You're literally told it's an act of love? So I have to play this sound. This may be a bit triggering, but what you're going to hear is Keith Irvin. Keith Irvin is a Tennessee school board member who is under fire. All right, I'm going to share with you a picture because it's going to be referenced in what you're about to hear. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so this is the photograph. This is Keith Irvin. This is a high school student sitting next to him. I'm going to play some sound for you, and it comes in various phases. First, because he got called out, you're going to hear his defense, and then you're going to hear what he said in this particular moment. This is triggering, and I just would like you to listen to his answer. This response, his answer to the question about what he meant by calling her hot. God, you're hot, he said. Here you go. Hold on.
When I mentioned she was hot, I meant she was on a roll. It was nothing to do with her appearance. As a lifetime supporter of Davy Crockett High School, I was especially proud to learn that's where she went to school.
God, you're hot. You know that? Where do you go to school at?
So his statement was that she was on a roll. What he meant was that she was on a roll. Here it is again.
When I mentioned she was hot, I meant she was on a roll. It was nothing to do with her appearance. As a lifetime supporter of Davy Crockett High School, I was especially proud to learn that's where she went to school.
God, you're hot. You know that? Where do you go to school at?
No, not on a roll, that she was on a roll. And you're right, and he touched her. There were people in the room, mostly men, and they laughed. So this was part of the triage. Here it is again. I'll play this other little bit of soundbite for you. Here it is again. The prayer service before the meeting.
Thank you for this day. We thank you for all our many blessings, Lord, and we thank you for a reason to gather here tonight to do your business. And Lord, for our community, we just ask you to bless it, bless our kids. And
God, you're hot. You know that? Dang. Where do you go to school at?
I go Crockett.
All right.
And then, of course, they rally the troops.
I want to share a story of a man in his early 30s that never tripped over any words. Pharisees tried their best to manipulate Jesus. He proved time and time again he had no sin. He had grace. Abraham Lincoln in his second inaugural speech said, "With malice towards none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right, let us strive to finish the work we are in." Mr. Irwin made some inappropriate offensive comments last Thursday. The member of this phone do not condone them or stand for them. He misspoke and was wrong.
He misspoke and he was wrong. That's about what they could conjure up for an excuse or a defense. Okay, there's more.
The man I voted for, along with many others in the 2024 presidential election, is someone who also makes offensive Republicans bipartisan time.
Is this relevant? He may speak. Please be respectful of our board member as he is speaking.
I don't stand behind them or condone them either, but I supported him to lead our country. He has a heart for kids.
He has a heart for kids in referencing Donald Trump. Okay.
I've served with him the past 8 years.
Now he's talking about the Keith Urban, this guy, who referred to a high school student, "God, you're hot." He respects kids. He compared this guy to Donald Trump and then said, "I've served with him for the past 8 years.
Sometimes we've been against
each other on our views, but never once have I ever.
other on our views. But never once have I ever thought he meant harm to the students.
Never once have I thought he meant harm to the students." Dude, you saw him do this. You saw him do it. You were in the room. You saw him. You literally saw him do it. He put his arm around a minor and called her hot, and you did nothing.
We just had different views on what was best for me. Keith has already been found guilty in social media.
Keith has already been found guilty in the social media court.
But I choose grace.
I choose grace.
I hope other board members and community.
I hope other board members and community board members can do the same.
How many times can we give grace to that particular behavior? Please.
How many times can we give grace to that particular behavior? And then there was a public forum. Public forum. Here you are.
That I came from Washington County Schools since kindergarten. Lived here my whole life. Love the school system. But what I can tell you I didn't love about it is men that acted just like Mr. Irvin did. Do you know how many teachers did that to us in high school? Do you know how many would put their arms around us, set us at their desk, and buy us Mountain Dews and candy bars? Do you know how it made us feel? So when we see that video, we know what it feels like, okay? We know how it made us feel. And in the 80s and 90s, we didn't have a voice, okay? There are girls at Crockett right now that don't have a voice. They have had inappropriate things happen to them. They go to the school, they make statements, and they want things investigated, and all of a sudden, that school employee just disappears and never comes back. And you know what? It comes to the leadership of this school system. Now, I know not everything gets trickled back up to this school, but when I watch that video and I see people laughing, we take it personal. There's a lot of men that take it personal, but as a woman, every single woman has had that negative experience. And going in the news and saying it's taken out of context, we all watched the full video. It was completely in context. Did you mean to say it? Probably not. When you were interviewed, you could have said, you know what, I'm sorry, I messed up. Would you change what you did? You said no. You said you wouldn't change it. So your apology you just put out, none of us care. the best thing you can do is step in. And that will be for every woman in this county that has been harmed by somebody in Washington County Schools.
Here's one more. This is part of that public forum.
Our kids getting shot up in schools and all this other stuff, right? But what we don't need to be worrying about is the comments of a man to a minor. Would you want that kid? Would you want your kid around that guy without a camera around? I wouldn't. And I'm astonished by every single person here. I'm going to tell you straight up, if this guy still has a job here, son, I'm going to do whatever I can to raise as much money as I can to get every single one of y'all out of here. No joke. And the rest of the thing is, we're going to get down here every school meeting and everything. That's unacceptable, man. And look at your face, you don't even care. This is your community that you're supposed to be serving. Look at the distraction. You put us on the map nationally, embarrassed us. And you don't even have the backbone to walk off, dude. Like, that's what's sad. Like, what's the importance of keeping you here at this point? You think your community, your overwhelming community, wants you right here? No. They don't. And it's sad that you're still here. It really is. When I was growing up, if somebody would have said something like that, accident or not, you're gone. He's done this in 2009. He just did this again. Okay, let's say we'll let Keith go. He's a good old boy, right? What about the next guy that does it? What if he wasn't a good old boy? What if he was a predator? You don't have to answer, but let's just say if you were really offended by that, just raise your hand. If it doesn't offend you, keep your hand down. Do you see what I'm saying here, guys? How would you like your kid talked to like that?
It's communities like this across the country. It's school boards like this. It's city halls across the country who are trying to pass laws to ban drag queen story hour. It's people like this with Moms of Liberty on school boards that are saying the biggest threat to society is men and women's sports. Bathroom bans. Just despicably fucking vile things that are said about members of marginalized communities. And here we are, Keith Urban, who said, God, you're hot, and put his arm around her. And then his excuse was, I was just telling you that you were on a roll. And not wanting to get into conversations about consent. Thank you for mentioning that. But again, nothing to see here, right? So instead of addressing the issue, instead of addressing the issue, what the evangelical Christians want is for women to just shut up. That's what they want. How dare you speak out against assaults against you? How dare you speak out a system that works to take your rights away? How dare you address abuse? Yeah, exactly. Just shut up and take it, right? Exactly. Exactly. Good morning, Vicky. How are you today? Hi,
hello?
Vicky. Are you there?
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, gosh, I messed up. I just wanted to advise that, women never, ever get the comfort of not being sexually harassed. I can remember just two recent incidents when I was working. A guy, maybe 5 years my junior, I was working at a desk. I was in law enforcement at the time. And he just walked up and took his, his nightstick and patted me on my butt. I grabbed the nearest phone, which was in front of me, and I swung it in his direction so hard you could hear the air move. And he jumped back like so shocked that I would defend myself. It just happens. Another incident, I was in the jail lockup at a courthouse, And this guy who was retiring soon, he came into lockup and he just walked over and kissed me in my mouth. I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. It just happens. You never can feel safe in a work environment as a woman. That's all I want to say.
I appreciate you sharing with us, friend. Thanks for being here. Be safe out there.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to play the sound so you can hear it from people like Joel Webbin and Todd Say, or I should say, and Wesley Todd, just so you can hear it. So again, this is the push. This is the fight that we're in. Gentlemen, this is what we need to fix.
And that's why God in his word, God in nature that he made said, women need to shut up. They need to be quiet. They don't get to call shots. They don't get to rule because they do stupid things like this.
So true, King. Women need to shut up. That's harsh. That's mean. That's not Christian. No, it is so biblical and so pleasing to God. Your daughter needs to shut up in the home when she's talking to her daddy, because no, that's not what we're talking. You know that's not what we're talking. We're saying in the public square, in ruling civil positions of government, in the church, in ecclesiastical positions of authority, and when it comes to making decisions in the household as the federal head for the family, in that arena, right? There's the disclaimer. In that arena, absolutely, Wes is right. Women, shut up. Of course. It is literally an offense to God.
My God.
Peace, Wes. How are you today?
Hey, that last part really triggered me. Being spoken to in that tone. I mean, I have 3 brothers and a dad, and I'm digressing from what I came up to say. No, none of them ever spoke to me that way, nor did their male friends. So just hearing that is offensive. But to bring the conversation back to things we talked about earlier, you know, I had a Home Depot incident happen to me once. I needed to get an item, and I was in the middle of a project. I was framing my photographs for a show, and I needed those little nails without the heads on them, and I ran out of them, and I said, it's 8 o'clock. Okay, let me run over to Home Depot real quick and just go get those nails. I arrived in the parking lot, and I was so scared, and the impetus, I don't even know what it was. I looked around. It was barely lit. The parking lot first spaces, just because of the way it was set up, were far from the building, even though they were the first spaces. And I sat in my car and I literally looked around and I said, I'll wait till the morning. And I started the car and I left. I never got out of my car. First time I'd ever experienced that. That was about right before COVID, so it was over 5 years ago. Never had that feeling before, because when you're really, really young as a female, especially back a couple decades ago when I was very young, we were not really as aware, right? We weren't really being conscious of it all the time. And now with the internet and with all the things that are out there to give women the heads up and the warnings, we are. And I literally was frozen in fear, and I didn't get out of my car. So that was number one. Number two thing was when I think her name was Amber was speaking about how men represent themselves to other people, and that's why they're getting defended, because this person says he's a good guy and I know him this way and I know him that way. The one thing I really want to impress upon people is, as soon as a victim can tell you that they have been treated in a certain way and you see the person in a completely different way, that tells me that that perpetrator knows exactly what he's doing, because he's hiding it on purpose. Anything that you do to alter your behavior so that other people don't see the things you're doing to someone or many others means you are fully aware that what you're doing is wrong. So not only are you doing it, you're hiding it, and then you're letting other people cover for you because they don't see the real you, which is completely different than someone who suffers from, say, a mental disorder where they have no discretion. They will act that way no matter who's around. But when you hide it or do it under the cover of darkness, That means that you are literally aware and you are choosing to do it anyway. And that is not a defense because other people say you're a good guy when you have someone reporting their life experience. This is her story about this particular man, but in general, women in public who see that these things are being done when you're in, like you pointed out earlier, a dark parking lot, or you stay late and you're afraid to walk to your car. We fear that the most because there are no witnesses.
Correct. Thank you for telling your story to us, friend. You got a big echo. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks.
As a reminder, the states in our country who, coincidentally enough, have some of the most, the highest representation for those who attend church regularly, also have the highest teen birth rates. Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Alabama, Texas, West Virginia, New Mexico. Yeah. They also have the highest rates of poverty in many cases. They also have the highest rates of maternal mortality, highest rates of people that are on subsidies, programs like SNAP, the poor communities, right? Predominantly southern states in the Bible Belt, to be referred to as that, Appalachia. Significantly lower in places that fund education. You guys know me when we talk about that topic a lot. And speaking of that, I've got some sound from Linda McMahon because this is part of the attempt to literally dismantle the Department of Education. She was caught on a hot mic. She was at a Republican conservative leadership conference, and well, here you go.
I said, sir, you do realize that I can't just shut the light off and walk out. There are a lot of things that we're going to have to accomplish in order to do that, and ultimately, Congress has to vote.
She's talking about dismantling the Department of Education. She's saying, I just can't turn the lights off. Congress is going to ultimately have to vote.
On closing the Department of Education and eliminating the office of the Secretary of Education. And so I am working, very closely with Congress, members of, the education committees on both sides, to show that we have proof of concept. We are signing what are called, am I jumping ahead to your question? Sure, just fine. So what we're doing is signing interagency agreements, which we're allowed to do, which government does all the time. You're almost subcontracting with a different agency.
So subcontract out our education to other agencies. Okay.
To do something that you're doing in your agency, to do it better, more efficiently, with more expertise.
Yeah, like the Department of Health and Human Services under RFK. Going to let them make decisions on public health or public education? It's all related, you guys. Like one of the common themes of our show is follow the money. They want to privatize everything. They want to privatize TSA. They want to privatize public education. Exactly, Heather. Privatization for profit. The prison industry. What do you think the ICE detention centers are? The military-industrial complex, postal service, all of it. How many billionaires? 900 billionaires in our country. Cumulative wealth of $8.2 trillion. And they want to give them more power. You're hearing a lot from the Groyper community now about this concept of the benevolent dictator. I may have mentioned this before, but in their mind, people who are these rich billionaires, those that have accomplished so much, right? They should be the ones that are making decisions for society. Yeah, that tracks, sure.
So we have begun signing these interagency agreements. We are co-administering programs now.
In other words, fuck public education. Fuck teachers. Fuck children who are protected under Disability Act. Fuck funding for special needs programs. Fuck all of it. If you've got money, you're good. If you don't, fuck you. We'll just lock you up. We'll make the pipeline, the poverty to prison pipeline, even more profitable. Just stick them all in jail, make them work for a living so that we can earn more money. 78% of the Hungarian population showed up to vote yesterday. 78%. And they kicked out a MAGA right-wing autocrat, Viktor Orban. They kicked him out. 78%. Biggest turnout since Hungary left communism. 78%. We struggle. Yes, Orban lost. We struggle to get 60% here. What are we fighting for at the end of the day? I mean, honestly, what are we fighting for? If we're not fighting for children and we're not fighting for public health, we're not fighting for education, what's the point? Good morning, Moonpie. How are you today?
Good. How are you, Steve?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I heard these stories and this men in power and women's rights being taken away. And it just reminds me, and then, of course, people telling stories. I'm 69. When I was 15, I loved art, and I took lots of art classes in high school. And I was taking a photography class, and I was in the dark room. And, the little red light comes on when it's in service. So somebody opened the door, and I hollered and said, "Shut the door." And it was the art teacher. And he picked me up and set me on the counter and groped me. And I did that. I just froze. And I was afraid to tell my mother. It wasn't my fault. I didn't tell. I should have told another teacher. All these things I should have done. But it wasn't until I was in my 40s that I told my mother this. And I'm still flabbergasted by her response. She said, "He was just making a pass at you." I have four granddaughters and one daughter, and they all know the story. Anyway, I just wanted to tell somebody, and I appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. I'm so sorry that happened. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
We've got science experts going on Fox News saying we should be concerned about birth rates for 15 to 19-year-olds. We've got strong, powerful voices in right-wing media saying women should just shut up. We've got the President of the United States saying, "Quiet, piggy." We got the President of the United States bragging about grabbing women by the pussy. We got the President of the United States being found civilly liable. Fuck that. He's a fucking rapist. Plain and fucking simple. And other people in his circle who feel the same way. Queens, I'm sure you're angry, but you need to be angrier. You need to be more angry. You need to be so angry that it motivates others. They can ride the wave of your anger to the voting booth. Hi, Kathy. How are you? Kathy? Kathy, are you there? I guess. This is a fight that we're in. And when we get people that are out there in these spaces, whether it's performative or not, and most of the time it's probably 50-50. It's probably performative, but a smattering of fucking red pilling or whatever. Right? And what do they stand for? What do they stand for? What are they doing to try to make lives better? It is in their world that the women in their lives don't matter. They don't want them educated. They don't want them to have a voice. They certainly don't want them to have rights to their body. They just want them to breed. That's it. They're expendable. They're a commodity. Eric Swalwell is just another dude who does what most dudes do. Rely on your white privilege, use the patriarchy for your defense, and then when you're caught, you just say, it was a mistake in judgment. No, it's not a mistake in judgment. You're a predator, plain and fucking simple. Mimi, how are you today? Mimi, are you there? Mimi?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Steve. I didn't realize that I requested. Thank you for everything you're saying today, though.
I appreciate that. Thanks for being here. Be safe out there. Last little bit I'm going to play for you is there's a creator that I like. Their name is Little Nicky. And the way in which they approach a lot of the very controversial topics, I think, make it a little bit easier to digest. So I will play because in case you don't know the name Paolo Zamponi, that name's become a bit more prominent because of connections to the Epstein files and his relationship with the president. So I'm going to play this for you because I think it's, it's a good way to end, because we will not, of course, let this story die. Too many people will. Our legacy media is failing survivors. Our legacy media is failing people who are victims of abuse in general. And unless we do something about it, I don't think it's ever going to get fixed. So let me see if I can find this for you. Hang on. I'm sorry, friends. Rough show today, but I'll talk about it every day. As a girl dad, as someone who just sees a system where the abuse just continues, and not only does it continue, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Let me find this for you, and I'll play it. Hang on a second. Everybody keep tapping, please. Let's see if we can finish strong here. Let's get to 500,000 likes. I'd appreciate that. And if anybody wants to make a donation to support the Do Something tour, you can find Factsstillmatter, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Thank you, friends. Please consider joining our, subscribing to our Instagram page. You can find that link in the link tree that's in my bio. Also, please consider subscribing on YouTube, subscribing on Twitch as we stream there regularly. I can't find it. Give me a second. I got 10 minutes. I'll finish. Hang on. Doesn't matter. I don't need to bother. Doesn't matter. Hi, Leah. How are you?
Hi, Steve. I'm
Can you get a little closer to your mic? I can barely hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Is that any better?
Yeah, it's much better. Thank you.
I just wanted to mention a little something about the Keith Irvin guy he's kind of near my neck of the woods in Tennessee.
Okay.
And something that I noticed about his excuse, if you can call it that, is that he said, oh, I called her hot because she goes to my school. But when we see his actions, he didn't know what school she was going to before he called her hot.
Yeah, exactly.
And he also has a rap sheet. He's been expelled from many other schools in districts for lewd behavior with students.
Of course. That tracks. Just moved around, right?
Yep. I just wanted to add a little context to that, but I think I'm going to do a little more research into him myself since I'm so close.
Okay.
And see if I can personally do something to get him permanently out of the school systems.
Let me know if we can help.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, friend. Appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe out there. Yeah, remember the story behind the Catholic Church? All they did was move the priests. They just moved them around, They just moved them. They commit abuse here. Let's just move them someplace else so they can commit abuse there. Let's just move them someplace else. and so on and so forth and so on and so forth. So I think we'll wrap today. I know that these conversations are difficult. I apologize if it was triggering for anyone. I'm sure it probably was. I don't know how else to cover this. I don't know how else to talk about it unless we talk about it. I never want to re-traumatize anyone. So please understand that these conversations are not easy for me to do, but I think it's necessary. We'll get through it. We'll get through it together because we're going to have these conversations and we're going to remind people what's at stake here. We're going to remind men that men have to call out other men. And if we don't, it's never going to change. Plain and fucking simple. It's just not going to change. So Danny's live. You guys can go please raid Danny. I appreciate you all. D-A-N-I. You guys all know Danny. I want to thank everybody for being here. Mods, you guys are the best. Thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for hanging in there with me today, friends. I appreciate you all. Chat. Please always remind yourself that your mental health is incredibly important. You know, I really am honored that you come here every single day and join us for our show. We couldn't do it without you. You know, we average between 1,500 and 2,000 to start the show. If I went live every day and no one was here because I knew you were all out protecting your mental health, then I would take that as a win. So please consider taking care of yourself. Remember, we've got a lot to fight for. 202-224-3121 is the number to the congressional switchboard. You should be calling. I've already left numerous messages on Representative Swalwell's voicemail. I've emailed his office as well. Would encourage you to do the same. Thank you, friends. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Again, go raid Danny. Tell her we said hello. And thank you, friends. I appreciate you guys. There's always